Doomsday, my Godhead space is infinite. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151, Take Down the Girl. After eating, Leng Mingyue put Huang Can in one arm and Li Linger in the other, entered a tent, and then let Huang Can continue to talk about the falling dragon incident in Yingkao. Nanan came to the door of the tent and listened to the conversation inside. Yingkao falling dragon, she heard from her grandfather, Leng Mingyue said, who is outside. When she was distracted, the girl panicked and said, during dinner, I heard you talking about the falling dragon, and I heard my grandfather talk about it. Leng Mingyue came out wearing a big underpants, pulled her daughter and said, come in, tell me, is this really the case? Nanan entered the tent. This tent is relatively large and can sleep several people. Looking inside, Huang Can and Li Linger both changed into pajamas. Leng Mingyue was naked from the upper body, with mermaid lines. So beautiful, I really wanted to touch it. Suddenly, he touched Leng Mingyue's abdominal muscles. Leng Mingyue still wanted to hear about the falling dragon, but her daughter touched herself, but she didn't understand what was going on. He didn't move and let Nanan touch it. Seeing that Nanan didn't respond, Leng Mingyue asked again, tell me, Nanan. The girl finally realized it and said, my grandfather said that I heard from one of his comrades in arms about this incident. At that time, the wind and rain were very heavy and several people died. A large number of bones were found in the reed pond. It was even published in the newspaper. A farmer was nearby. Tang found a huge animal bone, about 10 meters long, with a corner on the left and right sides of the head, about 1 meter long, and a total of 29 spines. This dragon actually has claws, and even dug a claw. The pit is nearly 17 meters long and more than 6 meters wide, which shows that the dragon queen once struggled. Leng Mingyue listened to Nanan's more detailed explanation. I was also thinking about what it would be like if the giant python turned into a dragon. Nanan finished talking about everything she remembered and was too embarrassed to stay there to leave. Huang Can said, sister, don't leave today. Let's live in this tent. It's also spacious here. After speaking, he took out a pair of pajamas. Nanan hasn't seen new pajamas for several years. The little girl who just turned 18 just likes these things, and she can't walk when she looks at the pajamas. Li Linger was also very sensible and turned off the lights. It was dark inside the tent, and my daughter was also very nervous. Huang Can grabbed her hand and began to take off her clothes. Nanan wondered why she felt like she was on a pirate ship. One night of absurdity. Li Linger was happy she was not the weakest at last, and a little sister was added behind her at dawn. Huang Can gave her daughter a new dress with concern. Still whispering something in her ear, she blushed and ran away. Leng Mingyue curiously asked Huang Can, what did you say to your nanny? Huang Can said, I asked her to go back and ask her mother if she would like to join our friendly exchange. Leng Mingyue supported his forehead, and Huang Can recruited him to the harem, even if there were not many people. Huang Can said, who made you so strong? Li Linger surrendered in 20 minutes. I added her daughter yesterday. I don't think you're having a good time. You've already tasted the beauty of sisters. It's not bad for mother and daughter. Leng Mingyue's old face was a little red, and he stretched out his hand to slap Huang Can's buttocks and began to pack his things. After breakfast, it's time to go. The group had just walked for more than 2 hours and came to a park that blocked the way. Leng Mingyue found the sign, Crescent Bay Wetland Park. There is a detailed introduction under the sign, but the time is too long and many words cannot be read clearly. I only know that the span of this park may exceed 10 kilometers. Qin Feng said, such a big park, so don't go around it. Leng Mingyue nodded and led the people over the fence. The plants in this park are super dense. Leng Mingyue ordered to be alert. There will definitely be mutant plants here. Here the reeds are as tall as a grove. Qin Feng said, brother Leng, I regret it. Let's quit. The 10-kilometer detour is not far away. Let's go around the Unknown is the scariest thing, and it gives people a great sense of oppression. There are not only mutated plants here, it is very close to the sea, and there may also be mutated animals. Everyone was still looking around, and a rabbit rushed out from the reeds. Seeing so many people, he turned around and ran back into the reeds. Everyone was startled. A rabbit felt ashamed when it was startled. Leng Mingyue ordered to pass quickly. Because there were many people, he passed through the wetland park in 10 minutes. Leng Mingyue saw a few mutated plants and did not attack them. He always felt that there was something. Look at yourself. After leaving the park, everyone continued on their way. In the afternoon, we finally saw seafood coming ashore. Now all the seafood that landed have legs, such as lobsters, crabs, etc. After a while, we saw hairtails, sharks, dolphins, etc. Walking on the road is normal. This time it was another crab. This crab only has a 5th level ability, and Leng Mingyue didn't do anything, so he was taken care of by his subordinates. Everyone continued on their way and saw some shrimps one after another. When it got dark, they caught 3 more shrimps and 1 crab. Enough for dinner. Chapter 152. Up the Himalayas. After 3 days along the seashore, I returned to Tsu City. More and more sea creatures come ashore. The deputy base chief also called Leng Mingyue once, and Leng Mingyue told him that it is best to move all bases more than 500 kilometers away from the sea, because no marine life can go far away from the sea and go deep into the land. They are stationed in Jin City again, killing zombies and making crystal nuclei every day, and if there are marine creatures coming ashore by the sea, they will be steamed and braised in brown sauce. After a few days of stable life, the deputy base chief called again and said, "Mr. Leng, there is something unusual on the top of the Himalayas. Some people have seen golden lights flashing on it. I heard that people from abroad have come. Now the Kyoto base cannot send good hands go to snatch the treasure. If Mr. Leng is interested, you can go and have a look." Hanging up the phone, Leng Mingyue recalled the memory of his previous life. The top of the Himalayas, glowing golden, as if he had heard a little bit about it in his previous life. What kind of rare treasure? After thinking about it carefully, he suddenly remembered that it was a snow lotus. Because of the post-apocalyptic evolution, the leaves were metallized. The fruit it bears is said to be able to live to the death of human flesh and bones. It is a heavy treasure in the Doomsday. How can such a treasure be taken away by foreigners? The journey is too far this time, so I plan to go alone. Of course, Lingyue and Mingyue are in the Godhead space, so they can be regarded as accompanying me. Let Kinfeng lead everyone to develop in Jin City, leaving enough food. The weather is already cold, the meat is not afraid of spoiling, and seafood can be eaten from time to time. After making arrangements, I bid farewell to everyone and set off alone on the Horse King. This trip is nearly 4,000 kilometers, from east to west. Just one person. Ma Wang let go of the speed, blowing Leng Mingyue a little hard to open his eyes. The speed is 300 per hour, a terrifying speed. After running for 2 hours, Ma Wang was also tired, so he slowed down by more than 100 miles, which is similar to driving on a high speed. Because he was afraid that the treasure would be taken away by others, there was no delay other than to let Ma Wang rest on the way, and he would go around when encountering zombies. All the way is the road. The speed is fast, but it took 5 days to reach the King Tibet plateau. After arriving at the plateau, the king of horses failed and turned against him. Reluctantly, he was accepted into the Godhead space. Do you have to walk the rest of the way by yourself? Except for the zombies, I didn't see anything else, and the road here was starting to get bad, so I had no choice but to take out a motorcycle. This speed is not bad. Before dark, when I arrived at a city, Leng Mingyue carefully identified that it was Shigatse. The top of the Himalayas can be seen very clearly here, and a golden light will flash in about an hour or so. It seems that the snow lotus has not been taken away. It's late today, so I'm stationed here, and I'll try to go up the mountain early tomorrow morning. Leng Mingyue entered the space of Godhead. Mingyue had already cooked several dishes, chatted with Lingyue at the table, saw Leng Mingyue came, and the 3 of them had dinner together. Leng Mingyue hugged the second daughter at night, and Leng Mingyue felt it, but Lingyue was pregnant, so it shouldn't be possible. Leng Mingyue sensed the change in Leng Mingyue and said, "You move a little bit. It's okay. It's been 3 months. It's okay." Leng Mingyue was overjoyed. Although this night was not so enjoyable, it was a different feeling point after breakfast. I got out of the Godhead space, rode on my beloved motorcycle, and drove towards the highest mountain. When we reached the foot of the mountain, there was no road, so we put the motorcycle in the Godhead space and started climbing. Leng Mingyue was wearing casual clothes and had 2 climbing picks in his hands. Some places were too steep and needed assistance. When going up the mountain, I saw some traces of people walking. It seems that this snow lotus is not easy to take point. The deputy base chief informed himself that it has been almost a week and the snow lotus is still there. This mountain is easy for people with supernatural abilities to climb. The only possibility is that the snow lotus has a high attack power. Leng Mingyue called out Leng Mingyue, and Leng Mingyue insisted on coming out to see the snow scene. Let Leng Mingyue scan with mental power to see if there is anyone on the top of the mountain. Leng Mingyue closed his eyes and sensed for a while and said, 500 meters ahead, about 100 meters down, there is a person. I don't know if it is an ambush or fell into a crevice in the ice. The 3 of them moved forward and saw a gap in the ice about 40 centimeters away. Someone must have accidentally fallen through it. Leng Mingyue sensed it again and said, "It seems to be a woman. Do you want to rescue it?" Leng Mingyue shouted down, "Can the people below hear it?" A weak female voice came up. "Can you hear me? Can you save me? I'm stuck here." Leng Mingyue took out several coils of rope, connected them together, and let them go down, shouting down, "Tie yourself tight with a rope, and I'll pull you up." After a while the woman said, "Okay, I'm done." Leng Mingyue pulled up, but suddenly the rope lightened after tens of meters, and the woman screamed. Leng Mingyue pulled up the rope, and saw that it had been cut by ice. Leng Mingyue shouted a few more words, but there was no response. Side point: the 3 of them continued to walk upwards for a while. Leng Mingyue was a little breathless, and Leng Mingyue took the sisters back to the Godhead space. Chapter 153 Meeting Killin. Getting vermilion fruit. I couldn't save people just now. Leng Mingyue was thinking about this when suddenly his feet were empty and he fell. There was a half-meter crevasse covered by snow. After falling more than 10 meters, Leng Mingyue inserted the ice axe into the ice wall, which was very dangerous. The ice wall got wider and wider as it went down. The gorgeous white and blue colors are like a kaleidoscope. Leng Mingyue looked down and estimated that it was more than 30 meters away. Pull out the ice axe and jump down. Any piece of ice here should be called 10,000 years of ice. It is very spacious here, not like an ice crevice, but like a passage, with a height of about 10 meters. Because there are cracks above and some light, it is very dark when you walk in. Being bold, Leng Mingyue took out a flashlight and walked inside. The ice axe in his hand was also replaced with a second level alloy sword. The ice cave extends down, and after 10 minutes of walking, the ice disappears and is replaced by rocks. It seems that this must be a living creature's cave. What kind of creature can survive at such a low temperature? After entering the cave, I saw a small plant about 2 meters long. There were 3 fruits on the plant, which were round and red in color. It is certainly not easy to have plants in this extreme environment. I was thinking about whether to transplant this plant to the Godhead space. A voice came from behind. "You can only pick 1 fruit at most." Leng Mingyue was startled and quickly shone a flashlight on the past, with a saber in one hand on guard. Under the illumination of the flashlight, I saw one, which integrates dragon head, antlers, tiger eyes, elk body, dragon scales and oxtail. This is Killin. I have heard of fire Killin before, so it seems that this is an ice Killin. Bing Killin said, "How did you come here?" "I fell from a crack in the ice above. I have been here for 1,000 years, and you are the first human being I have seen. It seems that you and I are destined, and the vermilion fruit in front will give you a piece." Guo is a treasure of heaven, material and earth, with a long history. It blooms for 100 years and bears fruit for 100 years. Leng Mingyue knew it was a good thing, so he stepped forward to pick one off without hesitation and directly put it in his mouth to make the juice sweet. It was finished in a few bites. Feel a wave of heat sweeping through your body. Sitting cross-legged, running the ability. After a few hours, finally digested Zhuguo's energy. Leng Mingyue sensed that his ability had reached the peak of level 8 and should break through to level 9 soon. Leng Mingyue bowed and thanked Qilin. Said, "Senior, you are an auspicious beast. Zombies are rampant outside and mutant beasts are coming out. Do you want to come out of the mountain to help humans tide over the difficulties?" Bing. Qilin said, "I can't participate in their games. Today, you and I are destined to give you a vermilion fruit. You have already taken it, so you can leave." Leng Mingyue's eyes blurred, and when he took a closer look, he had already arrived on the snow mountain. Looking at the crack where he fell in front of him, he felt unreal. Clenching his fists, he felt that this ability could break through the 9th level at any time, and his power was several times stronger, so he could be sure that he really had an adventure. Is Bing Qilin a mutant beast? How many levels of ability can it have? Bing Qilin said their game. So many people died at the end of the day. Is it just a game? One question after another surrounded Leng Mingyue and walked towards the top of the mountain. In the afternoon, I met two people on the mountain, a man and a woman. At this time, the two also saw Leng Mingyue. The man stepped forward and spoke Chinese in the accent of a little devil and said, "Your land, what are you doing?" Leng Mingyue said, "In our Chinese territory, you ask me, but I haven't asked you yet." The woman behind said, "Don't talk nonsense with him, do it." The little devil man pulled out a knife and slashed towards Leng Mingyue. Leng Mingyue dodged sideways, slapped the little devil's head off without controlling his strength. The Japanese woman was very surprised when she saw this. This man has a strong 6th level ability, and he didn't even survive a single move. The woman put her hands together and disappeared after a gesture. Is this ninjutsu? Leng Mingyue closed his eyes and used mental power to sense. Zhuguo is a good thing, fully strengthened. Now Leng Mingyue's spiritual power is not much lower than Mingyue. Turning around, Leng Mingyue reached out and grabbed the woman's neck from the air. The woman was shocked that this man was able to break her ninjutsu. Leng Mingyue said with a smile, "You said what should I do with you?" Chapter 154 Collecting Mutant Snow Lotus. Said in awkward Chinese, "Can you let go? Let me do anything. Is it really possible to do anything?" The woman nodded, and Leng Mingyue said again, "How many of you have come here? How did you come here? And how do you know that there are strange treasures here?" The few questions the woman asked Leng Mingyue when she met Leng Mingyue were all confidential. These are all unspeakable. The woman bit the poison sac hidden in her teeth, and the poison sealed her throat with blood. Leng Mingyue found something wrong with the woman and saw black poisonous blood flow out from the corner of her mouth. After finally catching one alive, he was poisoned. Leng Mingyue wanted to ask how this little devil got the news. Since the person is dead, forget it and go up the mountain quickly. 15 minutes later we finally made it to the top. Look at this huge snow lotus. The leaves are golden yellow, shining golden in the sun. After the snow lotus mutated, the fruit also mutated. The three fruits were about 10 meters away, and they smelled very fragrant. It can be seen from a distance that it is a good thing, but it must be very dangerous, and it has not been taken away for so many days. A little closer. There are still 2 meters away. Zulian still does not move. Leng Mingyue drew out the alloy saber and touched the golden leaf with the saber. There was a metallic sound. This leaf is similar to metal, and when touched by the saber, the metal leaf around the outside rotates unexpectedly. The leaves instantly turned into flying knives. It seems that this is the defensive weapon of the mutated snow lotus. Leng Mingyue took out an ordinary butcher's knife, stuck it in, and cut it off instantly. It seems that the attack power is still very high. Leng Mingyue took a few steps back and called out the ringtone and ring language. The second daughter saw an altitude of more than 8,800 meters, and the scenery was extremely beautiful. Leng Mingyue asked the two daughters to look at the snow lotus in front of them to see if there was a way to kill them to get the fruit. Mingyue said, "The easiest way is for us to work together to put it into the Godhead space." Leng Mingyue slapped his head and said, "This method is good. I still want to kill this mutated snow lotus. It is also good to raise, and maybe it can bear a few more fruits." The to approached and cooperated with Leng Mingyue, and found that Leng Mingyue's mental power had increased a lot, and he was no longer much weaker than himself. After the mutated Snow Lotus sensed the abnormality, she hadn't reacted yet, just changed the environment. Has entered the Godhead space. Leng Mingyue drew a separate mountain top for it, and there is also snow on the top of the mountain. Zulian made her home here. Of course it was forced. The wind and atmospheric pressure on the top of the mountain was also low, and the three of them directly entered the divine space. Leng Mingyue went to prepare meals, and Leng Mingyue accompanied Leng Mingyue for a while. After eating, it was time to go back. When I got out of the Godhead space, I was stunned, and there were 3 more people on the top of the mountain. How many people are there in each wave? Leng Mingyue just appeared in the middle. This is embarrassing. You can probably tell from the skin color and language that Yibo is a little devil. The other wave may be from Saint Jego. The last wave may be the Federation. The mountain where the Snow Lotus is too high, reflecting the sun, shining golden, so attractive. The appearance of Leng Mingyue also surprised the 3 groups of people. The 3 waves are all using their own language, which Leng Mingyue can't understand. Leng Mingyue said, "What are you doing in China? This is Chinese territory. Can you speak Chinese?" A white man on the federal side said bluntly, "The treasure here, did you take it?" Leng Mingyue said, "This is our territory, and any treasures are also ours." Several people from the third brother country were even more determined, and directly attacked. Several people rushed towards Leng Mingyue. The little devil and several members of the Federation rushed over when they saw the move. "Hey, you robbed our things," and so many people came together. Leng Mingyue threw a fireball at the 3 brothers, and now the huge fireball covered them all. After sending out a fireball, 2 alloy sabers appeared in his hands. A flame of more than 10 meters burned along the saber. He slashed at the little devil with 1 knife, and slashed at several members of the Federation with 1 knife. Leng Mingyue made an instant shot, and resolved the battle in 2 seconds. These are only at the late 6th level. They are among the top group of survivors, but they are far behind Leng Mingyue. After finishing off a few people, Leng Mingyue wanted to touch the corpses to see if these people had brought good things. Don't lick the bag, isn't it a waste of time? Leng Mingyue just took a step. A loud bang was heard. Leng Mingyue's fireball exploded on the snow just now. It was so powerful that it formed an avalanche. Although the ability level is high, Leng Mingyue has no other choice after being caught in the avalanche. Put your head in your hands. Rolled down the mountain with the snow. For the current Leng Mingyue, there is almost no danger, so he did not enter the Godhead space. Much more exciting than skiing. Men lethal are juveniles. I don't know how long it's been rolling, but Leng Mingyue has played enough, and he's about to enter the divine space without stopping. You can clearly feel the snow stop. Now the snow needs to be dug out. After being buried in the snow, it is impossible to tell the upper and lower. Leng Mingyue held 2 alloy sabers, and after the flames burned on the knives, the snow melted directly into the big hole. Randomly found a direction. After half an hour of crawling in the snow, if you fall into a passage. It looks familiar here. Chapter 155, Kidnapping Bing Kilin, and taking it away. What a coincidence, it fell back into Kilin Cave again. It appears that Kilin is not here. Leng Mingyue took out the flashlight and walked forward. Not long after, I saw that vermilion fruit again. There are now 2 more fruits on the plant. If I eat it again, can I break through to level 10? This has a fatal attraction for Leng Mingyue. A rare treasure that can break through quickly. It is more precious than Snow Lotus. Leng Mingyue stretched out his hand when he was about to touch Zhuguo. Bing Kilin's voice appeared. This red fruit blooms for 100 years and bears fruit for 100 years. 1 fruit has 200 years of medicinal power. A person can only eat 1 in a year. If you eat it, you will be burst. Leng Mingyue woke up with a jolt and said, "Thank you for reminding me. This vermilion fruit will take 200 years to mature. I have a space where time flows very fast. Put it there. It will take 5 to 10 years to mature." Bing. Kilin came to Leng Mingyue in an instant and said a little excitedly, "Can you really change the time flow rate? Can it only be accelerated? And can you slow down in which place you mentioned?" Leng Mingyue thought for a while and thought that when time stands still, it should be slowing down to a standstill. Nodding his head, he said, "Should be able to slow down." Bing. Killin said excitedly. Can you take me there? Shaking his head, Leng Mingyue said, you can't go to that place, only me and my pet can go. Hearing that only pets can go, the proud Bing Killin was furious. Leng Mingyue opened his mouth with a cold air and said, do you want to be my master? A gust of cold air sprayed on Leng Mingyue's body, and Leng Mingyue was instantly frozen. It became a big block of ice. After 10 minutes, Leng Mingyue melted the ice with the fire ability, and sat down on the ground trembling. Leng Mingyue said, I have a Godhead space, if you want to go, I can take you there. Bing. Killin gasped when he heard the divine space. Whispered, what the hell are these people doing? Bing. Killin knew that, if he entered the Godhead space, he would be a knife and I would be a fish. After thinking about it for a long time, he couldn't help it. Bing Killin said, I think you are the master, but not now, you are too weak. Wait for your supernatural breakthrough after level 11. I will recognize you as the master. Leng Mingyue knew the door. When he heard it, Bing Killin said, take Zhu Guoshu into your Godhead space, and then take me into Rap. Zhu Guo and Bing Killin with spiritual power, and they are both included in the Godhead space. Bing Killin took out a hole under the Snow Lotus Mountain, arranged it for Zhu Guo, and simulated the environment of the cave just now. Bing Killin said, in fact, I'm already 2000 years old, and I have been in the Himalayas for about 1000 years. You slow down the flow of time around me, and let me think of a way to break through as much as possible. Speed up Zhu Guo's time flow, and slow down Bing Killin's time flow, which almost stopped. Another ban was placed on this mountain, and no one was allowed to approach it. After everything has been arranged, the Godhead space will leave. It's broken. I should let Bing Killin get himself out. Do you have to dig it out yourself? Seeing that the cave was still there, Leng Mingyue took the flashlight and continued to walk in. After walking for another 20 minutes, he saw a large space, which should be the place where Bing Killin slept. There is an ice bed here. The color of this ice bed is dark blue. It looks like a good thing. Let's put it in the Godhead space first. I looked again and saw that it was empty and there was nothing else of value. Looking up, you can vaguely see a little white light. He took out 2 climbing picks and used both arms to climb up. When he reached the top, he started digging with an alloy saber. It took a lot of effort to dig through the ice and snow layer, go up to the top, and take a deep breath. Although it is a plateau and the air is thin, it is much better than the ice cave below. The speed of going down the mountain is very fast, and there is no one to stop it. After going down to the foot of the mountain, take out the motorcycle and ride back. I'm used to Ma Wang's speed of 300 miles per hour, and I feel weak when riding a motorcycle. When it was getting dark, I found a small town in the plains. Such a town was basically surrounded by plants. Even if there were no mutated plants, ordinary plants would cover the house. But the plateau is different. Although no one cleans it here, and there are not many plants, it is too cold here. It is not suitable for plant growth, but there is a kind of yak here, and the beef jerky that is eaten for a long time is said to be made of beef here. I just don't know if I can get a few yaks back this time. I found a fairly clean room and plan to spend the night here today. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156, taking in a large number of survivors. It's too deserted to be alone, so after thinking about it, I'd better go to the Godhead space to have an in-depth exchange with the 2 sisters by the small lake. I looked at Damami and Zao Sunflower. The 2 of them have no reaction at all to the changes in their life levels. I went to see the big boa constrictor. Got 2 small drum kits in the morning. I left the Godhead space, rode my beloved motorcycle, and went to look for yaks leisurely. At noon, I saw traces of some survivors. Thinking about it, I was right. There should be a base here, otherwise it would be impossible to send news to the Kyoto base. Putting away the motorcycle, looking for it along the trails, I saw a base in a valley. The gate was guarded. Leng Mingyue took out a backpack from the Godhead space, put some food in it, and swaggered towards the gate of the base. When the guard saw Leng Mingyue, he knew that it was not easy. His clothes were very clean. Leng Mingyue asked, and found out, that he would pay 5 katas of grain or 2 katas of mutated animal meat every month. The base didn't collect much. Leng Mingyue handed in the food, and got an entry card with a date, written on it and a stamp, which was quite formal. The base is small, but it is estimated that there are about 10,000 people. Another miserable base. Most of the people here are in ragged clothes. The altitude is high and the temperature is low. The supernatural beings are fine, but the ordinary people are quite miserable. Food production here is also very low. Thousands of ordinary people. A young man looked very clever, looking at Leng Mingyue. It should be, because the clothes are so clean. It should not be simple. Leng Mingyue waved to him. The young man trotted over. Leng Mingyue reached out, and took a pack of instant noodles from his bag, and threw it to him. Leng Mingyue said, "Do you know how many people there are in this base? Who is the leader of this base?" The young man said, "I only know that the base used to have more than 20,000 people. Because of the lack of food and zombie attacks, there should be about 10,000 people now. The head of the base is a former mayor, Shan Shan." Leng Mingyue said, "You take me to the head of the base." The young man led the way and said, "I can only take you to the gate. A commoner like me cannot see the base chief." The base was not too big, and soon arrived at the gate of a compound guarded by soldiers. Leng Mingyue waved the lad away. Leng Mingyue stepped forward and said to the gatekeeper, "My name is Leng Mingyue. I'm from the base in Kyoto. Let me know. I'm looking for the head of the base." The gatekeeper looked up and down and didn't feel like lying, so he ran in quickly by himself. A few minutes later, a group of people ran out quickly, and the leader said, "You are Mr. Leng, right? The deputy base chief called us and said that you might come soon. I didn't expect it to be so soon. Please come inside." After entering a conference room, the base chief said, "My name is Shan Shan. I was originally the mayor. After the end of the world, I organized everyone to build this base together." Leng Mingyue said, "This time I came to see that many civilians in the base have no food to eat. I'm willing to exchange food for some people. Do you think it is okay, Shan?" Shan hesitated. Never heard of such an operation. Leng Mingyue continued, "I have also traded with the Kyoto base before. I have established a new base, but it has no population, but I have food, so I will exchange some with you. This will also relieve your pressure. I only want ordinary people. Don't need people with supernatural powers. Old, weak, sick and disabled are fine." Hearing that he had exchanged with Kyoto, and the old, weak, sick and disabled are fine, Shan Shan looked at the people around him. They all nodded, and finally agreed. Leng Mingyue said, "Calculate how many of you there are. I will prepare food for you. I will give you 1,000 katas of food per person." There was an uproar in the meeting room. So much was given. Leng Mingyue said, "This is also my assistance to you on behalf of the Kyoto base." After saying this, the people in the conference room became quieter. Shan Shan hurriedly asked people to organize people to count the survivors. Shan Shan took Leng Mingyue around the base, and Leng Mingyue said, "Build the base well. The land is sparsely populated, and the surrounding zombies should be wiped out as soon as possible. In the future, this place may become a pure land, safer than those densely populated cities too much." After shopping around, I brought Leng Mingyue to the cafeteria. I served some Leng Mingyue that I hadn't eaten before. The Tibetan beverages included buttered tea, sweet tea, and sampa. Shan Shan said, "It used to be that we mainly eat meat here, but now most of them can't be eaten, so we mainly use highland barley." Leng Mingyue ate some, but the taste was average, probably due to less seasoning. No hex is tough. Leng Mingyue didn't see steamed buns, corn and rice, so he asked, "I will provide you with corn and wheat, can you eat them?" Shan smiled and said, "I came from Kyoto. As long as it is edible, we can handle it." Leng Mingyue felt relieved. Leng Mingyue asked, "What is the highest level of abilities here?" Shan said, "There are 2 6th grades and more than a dozen 5th grades. Call over the 2 6th level ones, and I'll take a look." A few minutes later, 2 people came over and saluted Shan. They seemed to be soldiers, and their conduct should be good. Leng Mingyue took out 3 first-grade alloy swords, one for each of them, and the last one for Shan. This is an alloy weapon developed at the Kyoto base. It is very sharp. Let you protect the base well in the future. Shan and the others were all very grateful, which added a layer of security to the base point. The people who went to count also came back, a total of more than 6,500 people. Only more than 500 young and middle-aged people were left in the base, and the remaining 6,000 people were given to Leng Mingyue. 6,000 people, 1,000 katis per person, that is 3,000 tons of grain. Shan and the others nodded, and Leng Mingyue said, let them pack their things, and I will come back to pick them up in 2 hours. I'm going to get food. Leng Mingyue left the base, and now Leng Mingyue was lazy and didn't want to go back to the base. He found an open space and put the food directly on the open space point. Returned to the base after more than an hour. A large group of people stood in front of the base and told Shan that the grain in the open field a few kilometers away was there and they could be fetched. Shan personally took people to see the piles of grain with tears in his eyes. After so many years of Doomsday, I finally don't have to starve. Leng Mingyue said, this place is not far from the national border. There may be foreigners coming over. The food and alloy weapons are given to you so that you can grow up quickly. Don't let others take away the good things of your own country. Shan nodded, indicating that he understood. I have already taken the treasure from the top of the Himalayas. Let everyone improve their strength as soon as possible. I will take people away. After speaking, he said to the 6,000 people, there are no zombies in the place I take you to. As long as you work hard and eat enough, you will be fine. Come with me, everyone. The leaders of the base have told them before. If you follow along, you will have food to eat, but if you stay at the base, you will starve to death. So everyone obeyed and walked towards the outside of the base point. After walking for 2 hours, many people couldn't walk because they were too hungry. Leng Mingyue looked at it, and it was less than 10 kilometers away. It's okay too. There are too many people this time, so let Mingyue help make these people dizzy and then enter the Godhead space point happy. There are so many survivors at once to provide themselves with the power of faith. Chapter 157, Eagle Fishing. After taking the survivors into the Godhead space, Leng Mingyue also entered the Godhead space point scanned with spiritual consciousness. There are about 10,000 people here, still too few people, and many bases are starving to death. After seeing Leng Mingyue, the next step is to visit more bases and collect more survivors. These 6,000 people are too many, and they are scattered around the original village. There are about 200 to 300 people in a village. Then they were given some food, ensuring that they would not starve to death at first. After everything was arranged, I went to find the two sisters to be tender for a while. After eating a meal, he came out of the divine space point. Because I was looking for a base, I wandered around by myself, and the chances of encountering it were too slim. So I took out the satellite phone and called the deputy base chief point. After connecting, Leng Mingyue said, there is no food in this base, and people are starving to death. I exchanged food for some survivors and took them away. I also gave them some alloy weapons to prevent foreign enemies from invading. You will go to pay me back, the deputy base chief said with a smile. You will be reimbursed for the alloy weapons, but the food is fine, and the Kyoto base is not rich. I returned to Kyoto from the plateau, and the passing bases and locations gave me a list. I'm going to have a look and send them some food. The deputy base chief said, you still want survivors? Why do you want so many survivors? Leng Mingyue said, this is my secret. I will not tell anyone. After 10 seconds of silence, the deputy base chief said, wait for me for 10 minutes, and I'll have someone count it for you. After hanging up the phone, he called Kinfeng again and asked about the situation. Everything was normal. I said that I might be late when I go back. The deputy base chief called again, and he should be able to meet 4 bases on the way back, and told Leng Mingyue the specific address. Get back on the scooter and set off. Leng Mingyue looked at the route back and found that it was not too far from the Helen Mountain base, so he could go back and have a look. That base is the most populous base after the end of the world, so he can get some people there. The first base is Qinghai base, in a place called Ryu Mountain, more than 1,000 kilometers so far away, although Ma Wang is fast, but in the plateau, Ma Wang is not used to it. It would be nice to have a flying mount point. Thinking of this, Leng Mingyue raised his head with the sound of an eagle. He is a good guy, with a wingspan of more than 20 meters. The giant eagle has already started to dive, and the target is Leng Mingyue. The speed was too fast. Leng Mingyue jumped to the side. The two steel claws directly grabbed the beloved little motorcycle and flew up. Fuck me. You give me back my motorcycle. The more Leng Mingyue looked at it, the more he liked it. This camel man must be fine. Just how to catch it is a problem. The giant eagle should have discovered that the motorcycle could not be eaten and threw it down from a high altitude. Leng Mingyue set a trap for the giant eagle, took out a pig's leg, and tied a rope to the pig's leg so that he could use his strength to pull the giant eagle down. At this time the giant eagle swooped down again. This time Leng Mingyue was ready, jumped to the side, and then put the pig's leg on the ground. The giant eagle just caught the pig's leg, and the giant eagle started to fly. While grabbing the pig's leg pulled down. The giant eagle flapped its wings, and there was a strong wind of more than 8 levels on the ground, and the rope broke instantly. Leng Mingyue sat down on the ground. The giant eagle stood on a rock and swallowed the pork leg in one gulp. The giant eagle hadn't eaten for a long time and finally got the meat. If it didn't eat anymore, it would starve to death within a few days. It used to be able to catch some humans or animals. It's getting harder to catch now. A leg of pork is just enough to fit between the teeth. He looked at Leng Mingyue again. The eagle's eyesight is very good, and every move of Leng Mingyue was seen by the giant eagle. Leng Mingyue took out a wire rope. He took out another pig leg, tied it up and said, "I think you can break the wire rope this time." Carrying the pig's leg, he walked on the road swaggeringly. He still muttered, "Others fish, I catch eagles. Others use bait to make nests, but I use pork legs. See if you ran away this time." Chapter 158 Deceiving the Giant Eagle. After walking for about 10 minutes, the giant eagle couldn't help being tempted and swooped down again. Leng Mingyue has been secretly watching the giant eagle. After seeing the dive, I started to prepare. When I was about to catch it, I quickly dodged and sent the pork leg. The two giant claws of the giant eagle grabbed the pig's leg and were about to fly upwards. Leng Mingyue grabbed the wire rope with both hands and pulled it hard. This wire rope is really strong. The giant eagle is also flapping its wings fiercely. Suddenly the pork leg was broken. Because of the huge force, Leng Mingyue took a few steps back and sat down on the ground. The giant eagle was also uncomfortable, and it was about to fall. After turning around in the air, the giant eagle flapped its wings fiercely and then flew up again. This eagle is not easy to catch. We must think of a way. It seems that it can only be head to head. Leng Mingyue took out a fresh half-fan pig directly from the Godhead space. If the giant eagle ate the half of the pig, it would probably be full. This time there is no need for wire ropes. This time Leng Mingyue found a trailer from the Shenge space, which was filled with stones. As long as the giant eagle comes down, the cart of rocks will hit it. After the giant eagle finished eating the second pork leg, he still couldn't get enough of it. It had been a long time since he had eaten such fresh meat, but there seemed to be a trap. Has been hovering in the sky. After waiting for half an hour, the giant eagle did not come down. Leng Mingyue wondered if the giant eagle had been fed by two pig legs. Take the half-fan pig back to the Godhead space and then start to hurry. This time without riding a motorcycle. Leng Mingyue can now run faster than riding a motorcycle, but it is tiring. After running for a long time. The giant eagle hovered over Leng Mingyue's head. The giant eagle followed, and Leng Mingyue was relieved. If you don't follow this, you have to find it yourself. After running for 2 hours, Leng Mingyue was tired and wanted to take a rest. He found an open space to light a fire and prepare a barbecue. Leng Mingyue thought that the giant eagle would not be tired. After flying in the sky for 2 hours, get out the rotisserie, start grilling, and don't care about the giant eagle. The smell of barbecue wafts around. So tempting. At this time, the giant eagle landed not too far from Leng Mingyue. When the giant eagle landed, it stirred up a lot of dirt. Leng Mingyue cursed and threw the skewers that fell on the soil towards the giant eagle. The giant eagle seemed to feel no danger and did not hide. After the skewers fell to the ground, they were eaten by the giant eagle. Leng Mingyue seemed to enjoy seeing the giant eagle. Good guy. Mutants now have facial expressions. The giant eagle walked a few more steps, looking at Leng Mingyue. I thought that these two-legged monsters were too delicious. Still want to eat. Leng Mingyue shook the skewers in his hand and asked the giant eagle, do you still want to eat? The giant eagle nodded. This skewer is skewered by myself bit by bit. It is too wasteful for the giant eagle to eat. Leng Mingyue lit a fire next to him and directly skewered the half-fan pig with a few thick twigs and roasted it on the fire. He said to the giant eagle, this is baked for you. You can eat it later. Giant eagle ignored Leng Mingyue and stared at the roast pig intently. It turns out that this giant eagle is a foodie. Leng Mingyue didn't care about it and ate the skewers by himself and took out a few bottles of beer and drank them. At this moment, the giant eagle turned his head and looked at the beer that Leng Mingyue was drinking. Fuck me. You're not going to drink beer, are you? Are you an eagle? If you drink while flying, you are driving under the influence of alcohol. The giant eagle came over and picked up a can of beer, burst it in his mouth, drank the wine, and spit out the can. This giant eagle has become fine. In order to lure the giant eagle, Leng Mingyue took out another bowl of spiritual spring water. The giant eagle straightened his eyes immediately, looking at the spiritual spring water in the bowl. At this time, the pig was almost roasted. In fact, only the outer layer was cooked, and some places were still burnt, and the inside was still not cooked. Leng Mingyue said, follow me, I will give you barbecue and spirit spring water in the future. The giant eagle drank up the spring water in one gulp, then began to tear the half-pig fan. In less than a minute, it was over. Leng Mingyue was happy in his heart. It seemed that there was no problem. The eagle must have gone with him. After the giant eagle finished eating, it honked and soared into the sky. A large amount of dust made Leng Mingyue cough for a long time, and he looked up to see where there was a shadow of a giant eagle. You shit, eat mine, drink mine, just go, let me see you. I'm going to pluck you and roast you. Chapter 159 Conquering the Giant Eagle. The cursing Leng Mingyue set off and continued walking, and looked up from time to time. It was a pity that such a good mount was let go. Until the evening, the giant eagle did not appear again. Leng Mingyue was disappointed. It seems that today is hopeless. I found Illywood Place and lit a fire, and I didn't enter the Godhead space at night. I also thought that the giant eagle would appear in the morning. I simply cooked some noodles and put 2 cutters of beef in the noodles. In the past, I only had 2 slices of ramen, and I couldn't taste it. Make more by yourself, and the beef is free. Continue on your way after dinner. The giant eagle still didn't show up for half a day in the morning. Forget it. It seems that it has nothing to do with me. Another motorcycle was taken out from the divine space. Speed up. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the motorcycle was driving on the road, and Leng Mingyue saw a huge shadow appearing on the road. Fuck me. Leng Mingyue jumped off the motorcycle, and the giant eagle grabbed the motorcycle and took it to the sky. The angry Leng Mingyue greeted the 8 generations of ancestors of the giant eagle. Leng Mingyue shouted to the giant eagle, I have always given you a chance, but you didn't cherish it and forced me to use force. Called out Mingyue from the Godhead space. Talk about the situation of the giant eagle. The laughing Mingyue couldn't straighten up. There are not many times that the end of the world can make Leng Mingyue deflated for so long. Regardless of Mingyue laughing aside, Leng Mingyue started to light the fire. The giant eagle had only come a day ago, so it was probably hungry. After lighting the fire, he took out several cutters of beef and half a fan of pig. The beef is eaten by himself and Mingyue, and the pig is to lure the giant eagle. This time, it will not be so gentle, and it will be suppressed by force. The location of the fire this time is the battle of giant eagles on the road, and there will not be so much soil. The beef was thinly sliced and cooked quickly, and Leng Mingyue and Mingyue ate it. The aroma of roasted pork spreads quickly. Leng Mingyue didn't take a few bites, but kept looking at the giant eagle. After a while, the giant eagle refused to surrender, so he roasted it and ate it. 10 minutes later, the giant eagle couldn't stand the temptation and swooped down. This speed is really fast. In a blink of an eye, the 2 sharp claws of the giant eagle grabbed the pork. From the speed to the stop of catching the pork, Mingyue's mental power directly interfered with the giant eagle. The giant eagle felt dizzy. When it wanted to fly, Leng Mingyue hit a fireball point. The giant eagle flapped its wings to fly, but it was too late, and the fireball exploded on the giant eagle's chest. The giant eagle was blown more than 10 meters away. Lie on the ground motionless, Leng Mingyue said. Brother Leng, did you strike too hard? Don't beat him to death. Leng Mingyue also felt a little regretful. This was going to kill him, so he could only eat it roasted. Leng Mingyue stepped forward to check whether the giant eagle was dead or not. As soon as he approached, an eagle claw grabbed at Leng Mingyue. Leng Mingyue is happy, as long as he is not dead. Let's try who is stronger. These 1 meter long claws are really powerful, and they should be able to easily crush boulders. Support with both hands, and 1 foot to prevent the claws from closing. Leng Mingyue saw that another claw was about to grab his head. Point, you can't afford it, can you? It feels like it's going to be scalded to this paw. The giant eagle wanted to retract its claws, but Leng Mingyue held on to prevent it from retracting. Point, another paw came. Leng Mingyue let go of this paw and grabbed another one. Come on, old iron, give you a foot massage. Leng Mingyue felt that it was almost done, let go of his hand, and the giant eagle lay motionless on the ground. Leng Mingyue came to look at the giant eagle. Said, whether you surrender or choose to die, there is fire over there. If you choose to die, I will roast you immediately. After speaking, he took out the alloy sword and put it on the giant eagle's neck. Point, seeing that the giant eagle seemed to be about to cry, and the eagle mutated into a facial expression, Leng Mingyue said, don't play tricks on yourself. If you don't choose me, I will eat your meat. If you want to surrender, just give me the crystal nucleus. Let it out. I will give you a restriction. Then I will give you barbecue and drink spiritual spring water to heal your injuries. When the giant eagle heard that there was meat to eat, it seemed that it stopped crying and released its own crystal nucleus, and Leng Mingyue put a restraint on the crystal nucleus. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Point, finally got the giant eagle. Although Moang's speed is not slow, it is not enough to cross mountains and cross oceans. When Leng Mingyue was considering whether to give the giant eagle a name, this guy had already started eating pork. Point, it seems that the injury is not serious, so I took some more spiritual spring water and let the giant eagle drink it. Should recover soon. Point, the giant eagle finished eating soon, and Leng Mingyue waved the giant eagle into the space of the Godhead. The flesh on the giant eagle's chest was blown up, and both claws were almost ripe, so it had to rest for a while. Point, the giant eagle destroyed 2 of his own motorcycles, but fortunately, there was still stock, and another Harley was replaced. Leng Mingyue was not allowed to return to the Godhead space. Point, a motorcycle, carrying a beloved woman on its back, enjoys the snow-capped mountains on this plateau. This is the dream of many people before the end. Point, occasionally, there is an emergency stop, feeling the feeling of dribbling and hitting. Drive all the way to the Qinghe base. Chapter 160, arriving at Qinghe base. The next afternoon, according to the coordinates given by the deputy base chief, they finally arrived at the Qinghe base. Although it was called Qinghe base, it was built on Ryu Mountain Point, because he was afraid that the ringtone would be boring. The ring language had already returned to the Godhead space. Leng Mingyue came to the foot of Ryu Mountain alone, and hiked up the mountain. The base is built on the mountain, which is relatively secret. Point, this time it was more straightforward. He said to the gatekeeper at the gate of the base, I came from the base in Kyoto. I need to see the head of the base to inform me. A few years after the apocalypse, the gatekeeper has never seen a well-dressed person. Even the base leader's clothes are not so new. The guard didn't dare to neglect and ran inside. Point, it may be that the base is relatively large, or it may be reported step by step. After waiting for half an hour, a group of people came out of the base. The leader came up to shake hands and said, Mr. Leng, right? Inside please. I already know the purpose of your visit. Let's talk inside. It should be that news has come from the Kyoto base, so that it will be easier for me. Point, after entering inside, the base chief said, I heard that an ordinary survivor can exchange 1,000 katis of food. I don't know if it's true. Leng Mingyue nodded and asked, how many people are there in this base? How many people can come with me? The head of the base said, there are more than 60,000 people in the base now, but we need a lot of people here to work and repair the city wall. At most, we can only walk with you 20,000 people. Leng Mingyue is happy. His Godhead space now has less than 20,000 people, and the population has doubled in one fell swoop. Leng Mingyue said, "Okay, then I will prepare food for you. Let these people prepare it." The deputy base chief said hesitantly, "I don't know if Mr. Leng can do me a favor. There is a high-level zombie near the base, which has already killed more than 200 of us with supernatural powers. Recently, a group of zombies is gathering, and it is very likely that they will attack the base. If Mr. Leng can help us solve this group of zombies, we will send you 2,000 more people. Do you think it is okay?" Leng Mingyue said without hesitation, "Yes. Is there a place for zombies now? I'll go now." The head of the base said, "It's already late today. It will be dark when we find the zombies. You should go tomorrow. I'll prepare dinner for you. It's too late now, and I have nothing to worry about, so let's do it tomorrow." A few people came to a small cafeteria. There were only 5 people at a table, and 2 dishes contained meat. The taste is average. After eating, I wandered around the base. It is bitter cold here, and the grain output is relatively low. It's not too late after dinner. Leng Mingyue told the base chief to deliver the food today, saving it and getting it tomorrow, and then left the base. There are no tall plants here, and there are bare mountains. I found a relatively flat place, and took out a lot of food. It is colder here, and I also took out some meat. He also took 3 alloy weapons, returned to the base, and asked people to move them. They arranged for Leng Mingyue to live in a bedroom house, which was fairly clean. The head of the base took people away in a hurry to move food. After 2 days of motorcycle riding, Leng Mingyue took a shower and lay down on the bed. People like to stay in bed before the apocalypse, and they still like to stay in bed after the apocalypse. Only the bed is the most comfortable. At this time, the sound of the door opening was heard. "Hey, who has the key to this room? There should be no one at the base to harm him. Just got out of the shower and haven't dressed yet." The person who came in went straight to the bedroom. "Push the door and come in." Leng Mingyue sat up and saw a very beautiful girl. Seeing that Leng Mingyue was not wearing any clothes, the girl blushed and walked in. The girl said, "When my father and I were starving to death at the base, you came and brought a large amount of food. The leader asked me to thank you." As soon as the girl came in, she began to undress. Leng Mingyue said, "You don't have to do this. I don't need you to thank me personally for coming to save the base." The girl didn't stop and lay down next to Leng Mingyue. After taking off. After an hour, Leng Mingyue said, "You come with me. I will take you away." The girl said, "I don't want to leave this base." After speaking, she limped away. Leng Mingyue was a little confused. This girl must know that she will not starve if she follows her, so why doesn't she want to leave the base? After eating at the base in the morning, the base chief sent 10 people to follow Leng Mingyue to find the zombie group. Today we will solve this problem. Chapter 161, Discovery of the Keel. After driving 40 kilometers away from the base, you can see King Hair Lake from a distance. Thousands of zombies gathered here. A person introduced. All the nearby high-level zombies have gathered here. The leader is the late 7th level zombies, and there are a few 6th level zombies. There were only a few hundred before, but now there are thousands of them. Leng Mingyue took a look. These zombies were easy for him now. Let these people wait for themselves here. Draw 2 alloy weapons. Walk towards the group of zombies. The people behind whispered, "Just walked by like this. There are thousands of zombies. Can the superhumans solve it?" Leng Mingyue didn't care about the people behind, and the group of zombies also found Leng Mingyue, and they started to commotion. When they came to the group of zombies, the 2 sabers ignited flames, and the 2 knives over 10 meters were 20 meters away, and the zombies fell to the ground one by one as they waved. Leng Mingyue rushed into the group of zombies and killed the 7th level zombies in less than 10 minutes. Seeing that Leng Mingyue was so fierce, the zombie was also a little scared. Ready to escape. But behind his King Hair Lake killed the 2 level 6 zombies in front with one blow. The 7th level zombie fell into King Hair Lake with a plop. The water of the lake is clear. Although King Hair Lake is large in size, it is actually not deep. The deepest point is only more than 30 meters. After beheading a few level 6 zombies around him, Leng Mingyue was watching the level 7 zombies walking towards the depths of the lake. Leng Mingyue swung a knife, because the barrier of the lake did not harm the zombies. Leng Mingyue can also swim, but he hasn't entered the water to fight in the last years at this time. The zombies surrounded him, and there was no way to clean them up first. The two alloy sabers were like lawn mowers, and the corpses of the zombies were piled up in front of Leng Mingyue. After 20 minutes, thousands of zombies were cut down. Leng Mingyue waved to the back, and the 10 people came over. Leng Mingyue said, "Help me collect the crystal nucleus." The 10 people did not dare to be negligent, and started digging crystal cores. Leng Mingyue saw that the zombies under the water had already disappeared, and they probably hadn't landed yet. Qinghai Lake is the largest lake in China. How to find it? Why don't you find a boat to try, or dive down to see it yourself? I can't just walk away. These level 7 zombies are not a small threat to the base. Leng Mingyue started worrying by the lake. Suddenly he thought of the giant python, and he didn't know how far he had transformed into a dragon. Consciousness has entered the Godhead space, and the bulge of the snake head is already very obvious. Covered in dragon scales, the claws are powerful, already very domineering. Leng Mingyue called the giant python with consciousness, and the giant python opened its eyes. Leng Mingyue said through voice transmission, "Do you have time to help me catch a zombie in the water and delay your evolution?" The giant python said, "Yes, I've been absorbing and digesting dragon balls. Now, it's alright. There is a giant python here. The zombie is easy to deal with. Take the giant python out of the space of Godhead and dive into the water." When the 10 people heard the sound and looked up, the water surface returned to calm, and they continued to collect crystal nuclei. After the python was launched into the water, the 7th level zombie was found in less than a minute. And a dragon swung its tail and photographed the zombie ashore. Those people were startled. What happened? Why did the zombies fly up by themselves? Leng Mingyue looked at the 7th level zombies whose bones were all broken. Solve it with one knife and dig out the crystal nucleus. I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. The task is completed, and I will go back to the base to take the survivors away, and then I can go to the next base point. The 10 people are all veterans, collecting crystal nuclei very quickly, and those killed by Leng Mingyue are all carbonized, and there is no blood flow. I took the crystal nucleus and prepared to go back to the base. Did I forget something? Where did the python go? It went down and never came up again. It's over. It's a big loss to lose my future dragon pet for a 7th level zombie. Leng Mingyue asked the people who followed, "Is there any legend about Qinghai Lake?" One person said, "It is said that in ancient times, the Dragon King of the East China Sea gave birth to 4 sons. When the sons grew up, the eldest son, the second son, and the third son became the Dragon Kings of the South Sea, East China Sea, and North Sea respectively. Only the youngest son had no sea to go to. In desperation, he drove to Qinghai Lake one day and saw the charming scenery here, so he gathered 108 rivers to form the West Sea and let his youngest son be the Dragon King of West Sea. This West Sea is now Qinghai Lake gone. This turned out to be the West Sea. This must be a legend, and it must be false. The last time the Yingkou falling dragon was seen by many people, it even appeared in the newspapers. It's hard to say whether it's true or not. Leng Mingyue became cruel and began to take off his clothes to take a look in the water. With his own strength, ordinary zombies or mutant creatures can't threaten him. After entering the water, I feel that the water is still a little cold. The lake water is very clear and can be seen far away, and the sun is still relatively strong in the morning. Dive down. It was very dark at the deepest point, as if there was a membrane. After passing through, Leng Mingyue saw a giant skeleton at the bottom of the lake. It is very similar to the skeleton of the falling dragon in Yingkou that was photographed in the newspaper last time. Could this be the skeleton of a dragon? Vaguely seeing the giant python lying on the skeleton, Leng Mingyue couldn't hold his breath anymore, so he went upstream. He took a breath at the top and came down again. Look at the skeleton over 100 meters. Is this the world in my own perception? How can there be so many magical things? Leng Mingyue touched the giant python, and the giant python could speak in the water and said, "Bring this keel back to space." Leng Mingyue still needs air and doesn't want to stay underwater anymore. He grabbed the keel with his hands and brought it into the Godhead space together with the giant python. "Hurry up. reached the surface, and swam to the shore point, greeted a few people and said, "The zombies here have been killed. Let's go back to the base." As he walked, his consciousness entered the space and looked at the huge keel. Just looking at the keel is very domineering. The giant python was lying on the keel enjoying itself, and Leng Mingyue could still feel the gaze of Binkelin looking over. Chapter 162 Professor Lee from the Lantau base is missing. Back at the base, 220,000 people, each carrying some of their own personal belongings, but not many. Because there was a lot of food, these survivors also ate 2 full meals, and they all had some strength points. Say goodbye to the base chief and set off on foot with the survivors. Some of the survivors said, "Let's go like this. Where are we going? Can so many people have enough to eat?" Leng Mingyue didn't care about the whisperers behind him. Take people all the way to the east. After walking for 3 hours, some of the people behind couldn't keep up. Although they ate 2 full meals, it was a drop in the bucket for those who were seriously injured. Find a spacious place for everyone to rest here. There were too many people, and Leng Mingyue didn't give out food for everyone. He called out the bell, and the 2 of them could gather thousands of people at a time. It was over after a few times scattered these people in some original villages, and then scattered some people around. Let these people form a new village. Give these survivors who have just entered the Godhead space some basic supplies for survival. Leng Mingyue looked at the empty space, clapped his hands, and said handwork to Mingyue. Facing the bell, he asked, "Are you going into the space, or should I take you on a motorcycle?" "I'd better go into the space to accompany my sister. It hurts to be hit by a motorcycle with you." After speaking, she rubbed her chest. After taking Mingyue into the Godhead space, he was still alone. The altitude here was not too high, so he didn't want to ride a motorcycle anymore. So he called Ma Wang out. After getting on his horse, Ma Wang had been holding back for 2 days, and when he got out, he ran happily, at a speed of more than 300 miles per hour, which was faster than ordinary eagles. The second base is the Lantau base where the alloy was collected before. Because the alloy is too important, the armed forces here are getting stronger and stronger, and it also brings together the surrounding survivors. I checked the map, and found that the distance was about 300 kilometers. Although Ma Wang was fast, it took Ma Wang 2 hours to arrive. Slow down when there are obstacles in the road, or when turning. He rushed to the base to put away Ma Wang, and walked to the base. Tell the base guard that he is from the Kyoto base, and without saying anything else, the guard said, "Are you Mr. Leng?" Leng Mingyue nodded. One guard ran in quickly to report, and the other took Leng Mingyue directly inside. Walk. Leng Mingyue knew that the high-level officials of these bases must have communications at the door of a conference room. The guard let Leng Mingyue go in directly. After entering the meeting room, there was an acquaintance inside. It was Professor Lee, Li Ling's father. Leng Mingyue sat down next to Professor Lee and said, "I'm sorry, Professor Lee, this time I came out on an urgent mission, so I didn't bring Linga here." Professor Lee waved his hand and said, "The task is important, and it's the same when I have time." Professor Lee introduced that the base director was sitting in the middle. The base chief also shook hands with Leng Mingyue very politely. Leng Mingyue asked, "How many people are there in this base now, and is there any difficulty?" The head of the base introduced. The base now has about 20,000 people. The base is very important, so the Kyoto base has sent many supernatural beings to guard it. And we also have a lot of alloy weapons here, so everything is relatively safe. There are about 3,000 people here. Abilities, 170,000 ordinary survivors. It seems that there are no difficulties here, and the population is not large. Leng Mingyue is a little disappointed. The base chief's words made Leng Mingyue happy again. "We don't need so many ordinary survivors here. I heard that you can exchange for food. Your base needs more survivors. We can give you 10,000 survivors." After hearing this, Leng Mingyue laughed. Leng Mingyue said, "Okay, 1,000 katas of food per person. Let the survivors prepare it, and I will prepare food for you." After saying goodbye to the base director and Professor Lee, he left the base alone. Professor Lee hurried back to the laboratory. Before the laboratory door was closed, a person followed behind him. This person was wearing a hood. Leng Mingyue went out of the base and took out a lot of food about a few kilometers away. Would it be too soon to go back now? pulled out the grill, and grilled some beef and pork. He ate a good meal, and threw the rest into the Godhead space to the giant eagle. At this time, 2 hours have passed, and it is time to return to the base. Go back to the base, and tell the base commander to let someone pull it. Then he didn't see Professor Lee and asked, "Where is Professor Lee?" before leaving. I also want to say hello to my future father-in-law. When I leave, I give him a bottle of spiritual spring water to make him feel better. The base chief asked someone to call and then led Leng Mingyue to see the 10,000 survivors who followed him. After waiting for a while, the man ran back and said, "No, Professor Lee is missing." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163. Professor Lee was kidnapped. Leng Mingyue was taken aback for a moment. Would people be lost in the base? The head of the base was also a little embarrassed and asked the man, "Have you found everything? Have you found everything in the laboratory?" The man said, "I've looked for everything. I've looked for Professor Lee's laboratory, office, toilet, and cafeteria." Leng Mingyue said, "Take me to the laboratory." Everyone came to the laboratory, which is a 3-story building. Everyone went in and searched again, but there was still no Professor Lee. Leng Mingyue looked from room to room, and when he came to the innermost room, he saw that the window was opened. Looking down, there are footprints of 2 people, still fresh. Leng Mingyue jumped out of the window. Seeing Leng Mingyue's movements, the base chief also jumped out. The footprints disappeared on the road, and the clues were broken. Leng Mingyue closed his eyes and used his mental power to spread out to sense. Leng Mingyue sensed a car driving out of the base all the way away in smoke and dust. So many years after the apocalypse, gasoline is very precious. Most people are reluctant to drive a car. Leng Mingyue accelerated and ran towards the gate of the base. The people behind followed suit. At the gate, Leng Mingyue asked the guard, "Who drove out just now?" The guard said, "It's an instructor sent by Kyoto." He was sent by Kyoto, and his relationship with the Kyoto base can be said to be very close, and he is also helping the Kyoto base to solve problems. You shouldn't be targeting yourself. Could it be that Professor Lee offended someone? Regardless of the people behind him, he accelerated and ran out of the gate of the base. At this time, if you use mental power to sense again, you can't sense it anymore. After running along the main road for a while, there was a fork in the road. Leng Mingyue scratched his head before remembering that he had a flying mount. Called out the giant eagle. Seeing that the wound has healed well, Leng Mingyue said, "Just now a car drove out and helped me find it." The giant eagle was not in the mood. Only roast pigs. Looking at the giant eagle is like a dog's leg, nodding and bowing. Leng Mingyue didn't want to waste time with this bastard, so he jumped on the back of the giant eagle. The giant eagle spread its wings and flew into the sky. Leng Mingyue flew into the sky for the first time, and he was a little unsteady. He took out a rope from the Godhead space and put it around the giant eagle's neck, just like a horse's bridle. Let Leng Mingyue stand firm. After flying into the sky, the giant eagle accelerated and almost threw Leng Mingyue off. Grasping the rope tightly with both hands, the giant eagle was almost strangled to death with too much force, and the giant eagle fell vertically downward. Leng Mingyue quickly let go. The eagle flapped its wings to fly smoothly. Leng Mingyue knocked on the giant eagle and said, "Fly slowly, now I'm looking for a car, not rushing." The giant eagle flew steadily now. The wind was too strong. Leng Mingyue couldn't keep his eyes open, but the giant eagle was not affected in any way. Soon the giant eagle locked the car. A swoop brought Leng Mingyue to a stop right in front of the car. It is better to have a flying mount, and chasing cars is very simple. Leng Mingyue jumped off the giant eagle. He wanted to see who was in the car. A person got out of the car. His face was covered with scars, and he didn't seem to know this person. This man got Professor Lee bundled up from the trunk. Leng Mingyue was relieved when he saw Professor Lee. As long as the person is still alive, there is no problem. A person got off the driver's seat, and Leng Mingyue was amused when he saw it. Wasn't this the former secretary Wang, who was kicked by himself? Remembering that his intestines flowed out, but he didn't die. Looking at the man with the scar on his face. Could it be Minister Lee who tricked him into entering the base in Kyoto? It turned out that my father-in-law was dragged down by me. Leng Mingyue was not in a hurry and said to the two, "What are you two going to do? Where are you going?" "North." The two panicked when they saw Leng Mingyue. Knowing that they were not Leng Mingyue's opponent, Secretary Wang held an alloy dagger to Professor Lee's neck. Said, "I know you are very powerful, but no matter how fast you are, you will definitely not be as fast as my dagger. I only need to swipe lightly, and your father-in-law will die." Leng Mingyue said, and then, Secretary Wang said, "You let us go. We are walking 50 kilometers north, and we let Professor Lee go." Leng Mingyue said, "You let go of Professor Lee now. I will let you run 50 kilometers, and I will chase you again. How about it?" "It's not that good. If you're talking nonsense, we'll kill you." Secretary Wang's dagger had already scratched Professor Lee's neck, and the wound had begun to bleed. Leng Mingyue said, "Okay, let's go." Secretary Wang and Minister Lee hurried into the car, and Professor Lee was also escorted into the car. Minister Lee kicked the accelerator and ran north. In fact, Leng Mingyue also has a way to save Professor Lee now, but we have to see what the hell these two are doing. These two didn't kill Professor Lee at the beginning, which proved that they wanted to live, and they didn't have to worry about Professor Lee's safety. Leng Mingyue got on the giant eagle, and the giant eagle flew so high that the two people in the car below couldn't see it at all. After flying about 50 kilometers, I saw a transport plane parked in an open space. This is so unusual. How can there be a plane here? Looking at the plane, it doesn't seem to belong to Huaxia, and there is a plaster flag on the plane. This is the Little Devil's plane. Looking at the car, the distance is less than 10 kilometers, so I drove directly here. Leng Mingyue understood that these two must have committed treason. They kidnapped Professor Lee, who developed alloy weapons, and gave them to the Little Devil. They were obviously Chinese, so why did they betray their own country? After getting off the giant eagle, he quietly came to the front of the transport plane. The hatch is open. It seems that the people here are very relaxed. Leng Mingyue didn't hesitate to grab the plane and directly enter the Godhead space. The main reason is that I'm afraid that the plane will be destroyed during the fight. I don't have this big toy, yet in the Godhead space, I'm a god. There were 10 people on the plane, and Leng Mingyue silently disassembled them. "Throw it into the cornfield you planted. I will regret it. If I throw it in, will it be disgusting to eat it as fertilizer? Fortunately, it is a cornfield, and I basically don't eat corn." He secretly circled this land and only gave it to those who offended him. After everyone was settled, Leng Mingyue took the plane out of the Godhead space and put it back in place. He entered the aircraft cabin by himself. Come and wait for a rabbit. Not long after, the car drove to the front of the plane, and the two carried Professor Lee directly into the cabin and shouted, "Fly the plane, someone is chasing you from behind." After shouting, he was stunned and saw Leng Mingyue sitting opposite the two. Secretary Wang was about to catch Professor Lee with a total dagger, but when he looked down, Professor Lee disappeared. Chapter 164 Dealing with Traitors. Leng Mingyue stood up, and the unlucky duo got off the plane backwards. Minister Lee wanted to run, but he was kicked back by Leng Mingyue. As soon as he took 2 steps, Secretary Wang was more sensible, knelt down directly, and said, "Mr. Leng, please forgive me this time. I will never dare to go against you again." At this time, Minister Lee also wanted to understand that he would definitely not be able to beat Leng Mingyue. Also knelt down. Leng Mingyue asked, "How did you get in touch with the Little Devil? What benefits did the Little Devil give you?" Secretary Wang said, "When we were at the base, a foreign student from Huaxia found the two of us. He promised us a lot of benefits, money, crystal cores, beauties, and endless food. They knew that we were beaten by you, and the top management directly demoted our posts." Leng Mingyue got angry and said, "Is this the reason for you to betray the motherland? Do you know how many more people will die in your country after you take Professor Lee away? Maybe because of your selfishness, your country will perish." Secretary Wang glanced at Minister Lee, and instantly the two of them jumped up and ran towards the 2 squares. Leng Mingyue sighed, "You are unlucky to meet me today." After a whistle, the giant eagle caught the two of them back and at the same time, there were a few more claw holes in its body. Leng Mingyue stepped forward and broke both hands and legs of the two. Now the two are honest and can't run away. Leng Mingyue took out 2 sheets and wrapped them very tightly and wrapped them with wire dozens of times to ensure that they were strong, and found a thing that he didn't have much in stock: kerosene. Not many people use this now. After soaking the sheets on the two of them with kerosene, the two began to yell for mercy. Leng Mingyue said, "Now I know it's too late to regret, and I have to bear the consequences for what I have done. If you only count me, I only hurt you, and don't kill you. Even if you count my father-in-law, at most I only take your lives, but you are treasonous, and this is the life of the whole of China." After speaking, he found 2 trees and tied them upside down with wires to the trees. Knowing that begging for mercy was useless, the two began to yell at each other. Leng Mingyue found 2 pairs of stinky socks to cover their mouths, and then set fire to the sheets from their feet. Traitors. Lighting up sky lanterns is considered polite to you. The kerosene burned very slowly and peacefully. The fate of the unlucky duo was fatal. Leng Mingyue was also afraid that the two would not die. After burning for more than 2 hours, the whole tree was burnt down, so he was relieved. Leng Mingyue took the plane back to the Godhead space. My father-in-law was in a coma in the space, and his neck injury was not too deep. After pouring a bowl of spiritual spring water, the wound was treated. The giant eagle brought Leng Mingyue back to the vicinity of the base, and then brought Professor Lee out of the divine space point. After waking up Professor Lee, he said that he had already dealt with the bad guys. Back to base point, the head of the base was relieved when he saw that Professor Lee was rescued. He knew the importance of Professor Lee. Alloy weapons. The head of the base sent another 100 people to Professor Lee to protect Professor Lee intently. Leng Mingyue left a bottle of spiritual spring water for Professor Lee and secretly let Professor Lee hide it. Just take a sip every day. After saying goodbye to Professor Lee, he left the base with the survivors of the base. Still the old way. I found a place where no one was there. Include these people in the Godhead space. Leng Mingyue was thinking, although the Helen Mountain base had to go around far away, it felt like it was worth the trip, because the Helen Mountain base had too many people. It is very simple to divide yourself tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. In the end, it was decided to take a detour to the Helen Mountain base. Chapter 165. Summon the giant eagle, start research, get a chair on the eagle's back, and save myself standing. It's too fast and still can't stand still. When looking for a rope to tie it up, the giant eagle still resisted, so it had no choice but to light a fire and start roasting pork. In an instant, the giant eagle stopped moving and tied it casually. Leng Mingyue felt a little disgusted by the smell of barbecue. When I lighted the sky lanterns for the unlucky duo, it tasted like roast pork now. Decided not to eat BBQ anytime soon. The giant eagle stared intently at the barbecue. Leng Mingyue began to tie the chairs tightly without affecting the flight of the wings. After tying the meat was almost roasted, and the giant eagle finished the pork with a few mouthfuls, and Leng Mingyue sat on the chair, almost feeling embarrassed. So let's make do with it. Tell the giant eagle to fly slowly and adapt a little bit first. Horses are born with a stable back point. After flying it is still very enjoyable. Sitting on the chair, a little worried, he wrapped the rope around the neck of the giant eagle. In case of danger, he could still grab the rope. Giant eagle, you are a real dog. It is not easy to discern the direction in the sky. Nearly 500 kilometers away, probably flying towards the northeast. Fortunately, Helen Mountain is relatively obvious, and the giant eagle landed nearby. It's enough to fly in the sky, to have a good time. Change to Moang, and continue to set off. I went to the plane in front of me to have a look. There are already survivors living here. It seems that the development is very good, but I don't know how many people I can give myself. The base here is not short of food, and I can provide them with some other supplies. Leng Mingyue arrived at the Helen Mountain base before dark. I went to look at Zhang Debio. Zhang Debio is already a 6th level supernatural being, and his team is developing well. He brought out a lot of meat and 2 bottles of wine at night. Zhang Debio said, "Brother Leng, I miss you so much. Please let me have a sip of wine first. I haven't had a drink since you left." Leng Mingyue rolled his eyes. Do you miss me? Or wine point. After the meat was stewed, the two started eating. While eating and chatting, Zhang Debao talked about the current situation of the base. Many civilians have gone to live in the plains, which are much better than before. But although the staple food is enough, other supplies are very scarce because there are too many people in the base, and civilians may not be able to eat a meal of salt for a month. This is because the Kyoto base sent a lot of salt, and the base's own salt was eaten up a few years ago. Although there are thousands of tons of salt in Leng Mingyue's space, it is still not enough for a base. It seems that, when I return to Jin City, I will go to the salt farm to get some salt. Drinking late. It's too late today. Let's go to the 3 base leaders tomorrow. Because he slept late and got up late in the morning. Zhang Debao knocked on the door and said, Brother Leng, are you up? The 3 base leaders have been waiting outside for a while. Leng Mingyue was a little surprised that all 3 base chiefs came together, putting on his clothes and washing his face. When he came out, he saw the 3 base chiefs standing up at the same time. Leng Mingyue was a little embarrassed and said, I don't know the 3 base chiefs are here. I overslept. The 3 of them also said very politely, it's okay, we just arrived. Leng Mingyue said straight to the point, I came here this time to exchange some survivors. The development of my base needs some civilians to work. I can provide you with some salt and meat. The 3 are very happy. The most important thing for the development of a base is that the supernatural powers are relatively strong, and the second is to have civilians to work. But there are too many civilians, which will slow down the development of the base. Moreover, salt and meat are very much needed materials for the base. Leng Mingyue said, you can change as many people as you want, including old, weak, sick and disabled. The 3 base chiefs were also surprised that civilians are basically working, and even the elderly, weak, sick and disabled can do it. The head of the base said, we originally planned to give you 100,000 people, but you said that the old, weak, sick and disabled are alright, and the base has 100,000 people who are not in good health. If you want, I will give it to you. As soon as Leng Mingyue slapped his thigh, it was better to grow this big base with 200,000 people at once. It's cold now, so it won't hurt to bring out some more meat. Because meat and salt are much more expensive than grain. Leng Mingyue calculated that he could produce 5 tons of salt, 2 tons of meat, 1,000 live pigs, 500 sheep, and 10 cattle at the same time. It is better to let the base breed itself than to give meat. Tell the 3 base managers about this amount, and all 3 are very satisfied. They didn't expect to get so much. One person went out to organize the civilians to pack up their things, pack them up, and then went out to the plains to wait after packing up. Because there are too many people, it is estimated that it will take 200,000 people a day to reach the plain. Leng Mingyue said goodbye to pull salt and meat. After leaving the base, I found a place where no one was around and entered the Godhead space looking for the 2 sisters. Anyway, the people outside are busy and have nothing to do with me. Spoil Mingyue today. These 2 days she is always eager to give it a try. Some people say that pregnant women have greater needs in this regard. But Mingyue was not happy. Because Mingyue was pregnant, Leng Mingyue didn't dare to let go of the play and finally tried to defeat her. Can't stand it every time. The 3 of them went crazy for 5 hours, and the second daughter became paralyzed from exhaustion. Leng Mingyue prepared a delicious meal for him. If you can't eat barbecue, you can eat shabu shabu, beef, mutton, donkey meat, and pork. Some greens. The 3 had a delicious meal. The 3 of them began to rest, and Leng Mingyue closed his eyes and began to plan the divine space with his consciousness. There will be 200,000 more people soon. First of all, let these people enshrine their own statues as quickly as possible. And fulfill the wishes of those who ask. To absorb more power of faith. After there are too many people, it is necessary to find a spokesperson in the Godhead space to manage it. The time was almost up. Leng Mingyue came out of the Godhead space, took out the salt and meat, took out the live animals, and suppressed them mentally, so as not to run around. When I arrived at the base, I saw a massive darkness. It turned out that there were so many 200,000 people. After telling the 3 base chiefs where the supplies are, we bid farewell. There were too many people. Leng Mingyue raised a flag to let everyone follow, and secretly called Mingyue out of the Godhead space, and started to recruit people while walking. Some people who might have gone together suddenly disappeared. After walking for more than an hour, it has been reduced by half, but the people in the crowd don't know it at all. 100,000 and 200,000 are both overwhelming. Another hour later, when there were still only 10,000 people, Leng Mingyue and Mingyue exerted their strength at the same time, and all of them were collected in the Mingyue space. Mingyue said, "It's so tiring to finally finish." Leng Mingyue put the ringtone and into the Godhead space and asked her to rest. Chapter 166. Arriving at Lianyang base. I was left alone again. I was considering whether to use the Giant Eagle or the Horse King to drive when the satellite phone rang. After connecting the phone, the voice of the deputy base chief came out, saying, "We know about Professor Lee. We sent a 7th level supernatural person from the Kyoto base to protect Professor Lee. We will definitely not let Professor Lee be in danger." Leng Mingyue said he knew about it, and the deputy base chief said, "A sea lion appeared near the Lianyang base, and the base personnel have been evacuated, but it is estimated that this sea lion may have reached level 8. Leng Mingyue frowned. He still had 2 bases to pick up. If he went to Lianyang now, it might take him a few days. The deputy base chief said, "The 2 bases you have not been to are small bases, and it is estimated that they can give you a few thousand people at most. In the past 2 days, I will send people to the Kyoto base, and the Lianyang base is also a large base of tens of thousands of people." Upon hearing this, the deputy base chief made arrangements, and it seemed that he could only go there once. Hang up the phone. After agreeing, I took out a map and looked at the location, about 1,600 kilometers away. From west to east, there are various mountains, rivers, and lakes in the middle. Leng Mingyue felt that he was still sitting on a giant eagle. Summon the giant eagle and head east all the way. To Leng Mingyue's surprise, the giant eagle can fly in the sky at night. For safety, let the giant eagle land. Eat alone, or eat hot pot. Simple. The giant eagle lost his temper a little when he saw that the meat was not roasted, but boiled in a pot. I got a bowl of brushed meat for the giant eagle. The giant eagle tasted it and it tasted very delicious. Then I ate it next to Leng Mingyue. The giant eagle ate too much, and Leng Mingyue was not full. Forget it, I'll give him a barbecue next time. Continue to set off in the morning. Arrived near Lianyang before noon. Got off the giant eagle, changed to Ma Wang, found the base according to the address given by the deputy base chief. There is no one here. Continue to walk towards the beach, and saw a sea lion before the end of the day. I often see it in the aquarium, and it feels quite cute. Now look at this 2-story building. Walking on the road stupidly, accidentally knocking down a building. How much meat does this big guy need? I don't know if it's good or not. If it's good, it can last for a long time. This sea lion does not move fast, but it is big and should have high defense. He took out 2 alloy swords and quickly resolved them. After solving them, he went to find the survivors. When the sea lion saw a human coming, it also crawled towards Leng Mingyue. Try it remotely first and hit a fireball in the past. Leng Mingyue's current fireball is so powerful that it directly knocks the sea lion backwards. The sea lion stood up unsteadily, and it seemed that the damage was not serious. The skin on the chest was scorched a lot. Charged up again. Leng Mingyue fired another fireball. The sea lion opened its mouth, and there was a burst of cold air, trying to block the fireball. The fireball shrank rapidly in the cold air, but still hit the sea lion. The sea lion roared again and again. Leng Mingyue brandished the alloy saber, and performed surgery on the sea lion at the beginning. The fat layer of the sea lion is very thick. If the knife is cut shallowly, it will not bleed. After 5 minutes, the body of the sea lion will not be intact for a distance of more than 1 meter, and it will be full of knife marks. After cutting for so long, the sea lion is not dead yet. It seems that only the head can be beheaded. Jumping up vigorously, he smashed tuition with one force, and chopped it on the head of the sea lion. A large amount of blood flowed from the huge wound. Leng Mingyue made several stabs one after another. The sea lion finally stopped moving. It took 15 minutes to solve a level 8 mutant beast. Put the huge corpse into the Godhead space. The new village should not be too far from the base. Leng Mingyue scanned it with mental power. After walking 10 kilometers, the person was finally scanned. This is a person with a speed ability and must be a security or investigation personnel of the base. Leng Mingyue walked over to say hello. The man was also surprised that he hid it so well that he was discovered. Where is the base? I'm from Jingji base. The man knew that someone from Kyoto was coming, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. I took Leng Mingyue to find a hidden village. The base was actually hidden in the village. There were many holes dug down here to hide people. If there were no people, they would hide underground. Chapter 167, returning to Jin City to find a large army. Entering this village, the inside is not small, and it should be temporarily hidden here. A few people came out after a few minutes, and the leader said, "Are you Mr. Leng? You came too fast. I thought it would take 2 to 3 days at the earliest." Leng Mingyue said, "What is the population of the base now? Is there any difficulty now?" The head of the base said, "We have a total of 60,000 people here. It is the problem of the mutated sea lion, and there is a shortage of food. I've already taken care of the sea lion." Everyone was very surprised. "Solved? How did you solve it so fast?" Leng Mingyue continued without explaining to the knot. "The food is fine. My base needs survivors. I can exchange some of the survivors with you." The base chief said, "Yes, I have communicated with the Kyoto base before, and I can show Leng 30,000 survivors." Leng Mingyue was very happy. He didn't expect that there were so many people in this base. Now there are not many bases that can exceed 10,000. Leng Mingyue went to prepare food, and the base began to ask the survivors to pack their things. The transaction went well, and Leng Mingyue set off north with his people. All the survivors were included in the Godhead space, and another 30,000 survivors were added, ready to go back to Tsu City. Several women are waiting for him. Hundreds of kilometers without riding a giant eagle. Riding a horse king is also very fast. Point arrived in Jin City at noon the next day and found Qin Feng's army. Qin Feng brought Leng Mingyue to the door of a warehouse and opened the door, which was full of crystal nuclei. Point during this time, zombies were being harvested every day. Point the girls came over and hugged Leng Mingyue, but Nanan was not too embarrassed. Point everyone has half a day off today, so you can relax in the afternoon. Leng Mingyue and Li Linga talked about Professor Li. Li Linga's eyes were red, and she didn't feel relieved until she had a large number of protectors. Huang Can said, "Take us with you next time you go out, so I won't worry about you here." "Okay, I will take you with me wherever I go in the future, and I will never be separated from you again." It was still early after dinner, only after 4 o'clock, but Leng Mingyue couldn't wait. "I have been suffering for the past few days, and I have never had a good time." Mingyue and Lingayan couldn't bear it. Point this time there were many people, and the chaos began. Point Huang Can was the first to fight Leng Mingyue, and was killed after 30 minutes. It was Li Linga who was the most disheveled and gritted his teeth for 15 minutes. To checkpoint, come on, because I'm a novice and only checked for 15 minutes. There was no other way, and the bell language and the ringtone were brought out of the Godhead space again. Seeing this scene, the second daughter also joined the battle group. Point because Lingayan was pregnant, her movements were gentle, and after half an hour she changed to Lingyue. Lingyue complained and wanted to pull Huang Can along. Point Huang Can has almost rested, and the second daughter is fighting against Mingyue. Point fighting from 4 PM to 10 PM. Only then did the flag die down. Leng Mingyue lay on the bed and didn't want to move. The ancient sages were lonely and entered the state of sages. The girls were hungry and unable to move, so they accused Leng Mingyue together and asked him to prepare supper. There was no way. Leng Mingyue dragged his tired body, got up to prepare supper, and still ate hot pot. This time there were many people and a lot of ingredients to prepare. Lingyue endured the exhaustion and helped Leng Mingyue wash the vegetables, and Leng Mingyue began to cut the meat. Point I prepared more beef and mutton, and prepared some seafood, the big lobster, big crab, and meat from last time. I don't know if the sea lion meat is good or not, so I cut some. Point some more dishes were prepared, and it was 11 o'clock when they were ready, and everyone started to eat. Zhongmei reunited next to Leng Mingyue. Alas, what more can a man ask for in one lifetime? Point while eating, Leng Mingyue's salty pork knuckles are not idle. He was bullied again at the hot pot table because of the molestation by the ringtone. Leng Mingyue said, "If you don't obey, you will be punished." Leng Mingyue was dissatisfied and said, "Sister Huang also molested you just now." Huang Can wanted to run away, but was caught by Leng Mingyue and bullied him. A few people dared not molested Leng Mingyue anymore, for fear of being executed on the spot. Cleaning up the battlefield after dinner, the bed was all wet. Leng Mingyue couldn't put this bed into the Godhead space, so he took out 2 new beds and pushed them together. Everyone squeezed and slept together. Chapter 168, Sending Out the Little Devil Country. In the morning, it was just around the corner again. No, put on your clothes. Walk out of the room with your waist supported. Can't mess around anymore. Now people are the most comprehensive. Take out all the seafood that is not much in the sea and prepare to have a seafood meal in the morning. Everyone got up one after another. There is nothing to deal with now. I can take a good rest for a while, kill zombies, find seafood, and accompany some girls while eating. The satellite phone rang. Apparently it was the deputy base chief calling. There won't be anything that can't be handled, so I have to solve it by myself. After answering the phone, the deputy base chief said, "Mr. Leng, we investigated the Kyoto base after Professor Lee was kidnapped and found 8 traitors and 3 spies from the Little Devil Country. Although Professor Lee was rescued by you, but a female scientist at the Kyoto base was successfully kidnapped." Leng Mingyue was very surprised. He didn't expect that so many people came to Huangsha to kidnap scientists. The deputy base chief continued, "Professor Lee refined the alloy to a higher purity. The kidnapped Professor Wang made the purified alloy into a weapon. Although both the first level and second level alloy weapons have been forged, but Professor Wang is still developing how to build a 3-level alloy weapon." Leng Mingyue asked, "Don't you have any protection for these professors?" The deputy base chief said, "There is protection, but when Professor Wang goes home to visit relatives, he is protected by 20 people with supernatural powers, and one of them is a level 6 supernatural person. There is a 6th level supernatural person in the base for protection, which is already strong enough to protect." The deputy base chief said, "I didn't expect them to send a 7th level supernatural being, and they were good at ninjutsu." After sneaking into the base, all 20 supernatural beings were killed, and Professor Wang was transported out of the base. Someone saw someone. The plane was heading east. Presumably it was the kid's plane. Leng Mingyue said, "Send me a copy of Professor Wang's information, as well as the situation in the Little Devil Country. Tell me everything you know, and I will go there." After hanging up the phone, I just wanted to take a vacation, to spend time with my woman, but came to the task again. Professor Wang is very important, and must be rescued. Seafood Liberty is going to the island country to eat. After the meal, he called Qin Feng and Yu Chan over, explained the situation, and asked the two to take everyone to continue to improve their level here, and he went to the Little Devil Country by himself. After leaving a large amount of living supplies for the base, and bringing the girls into the Godhead space, after waiting for about an hour, all the information was transmitted. First, I opened the profile of Professor Wang. The photo turned out to be a beautiful woman, about 30 years old. After a brief look at the profile, I opened the profile of the Little Devil Country. Good guy. The information is complete. There are 3 major bases and 18 small bases. Professor Wang is most likely to be in these 3 major bases. Leng Mingyue asked the girls if any of them could speak Giziayu, but Huang Can and Lingyue could do it, so that's it. Saving the translation. A colleague sent over a map. The details are marked with the exact location of the distance. The straight line distance from here is only more than 2,000 kilometers, which is closer than the last time I went to the Himalayas. After everything was packed, he called out the giant eagle and flew eastward. After passing the vast sea, I still saw a whale, because it was too high to see how big it was, but I could still feel its size. Flying over the peninsula, looking at the city below is also devastated, similar to that in China. This time the target was not the peninsula, so it continued to fly towards the east by south without stopping. After flying over the peninsula, the giant eagle got tired and lost its temper. It had no choice, but found a small island and landed. Seeing that the island is not big, there should be no danger, so he took a short break and roasted a pig for the giant eagle. Leng Mingyue simply ate a piece of military rations, thinking about whether he should try sashimi. When he arrived in the ghost country point, it took 2 hours to roast the pig. The giant eagle ate very quickly, and the battle was resolved in about 10 minutes. Leng Mingyue also thoughtfully gave him a bowl of spiritual spring water to restore the giant eagle's strength point after a good rest. I turned on the eagle and continued to fly. After about 4 hours of flying, I could see a symbolic mountain, Mount Fuji, in the distance. The first base is the Mount Fuji base. This is also Leng Mingyue's first goal. The distance was still far away, so the giant eagle fell down. Finally, it's time to kill. Chapter 169 Interrogation Room. Rescue the hero. After landing, he didn't summon Ma Wang and walked in the city on foot, looking at the architectural style completely different from Huaxia. It was fun. The same places that the city is full of plants, the girls were also brought out of the Godhead space. Take everyone to look at the exotic style point with the exact location of the Mount Fuji base. The few people were not in a hurry and walked slowly. Professor Wang is a scientist, and the little devil will definitely not kill him, and his life is definitely not in danger. Leng Mingyue wanted to see if he could catch someone alive and ask about the situation of the base here. About 10 kilometers away from the base, I finally met a team. Leng Mingyue saw a total of 8 people, all of whom were men. At the same time, these people also discovered Leng Mingyue and the others, and each of these women was more beautiful than the other. These little devils surrounded him in an instant, chattering something. Leng Mingyue looked at Wang Kankan and Lingyu. They were the only ones who could speak ghost words. As a result, the 2 girls blushed and neither of them translated. Leng Mingyue understood that there was probably nothing good to say, as a man must not let a woman make a move. Step forward quickly. The leader generally knows more, can't be beaten to death. A few teeth are pulled out with a slap, and the life or death of the people behind depends on their fate. 1 punch, 1 kick, 1 fast turning around. Everyone lay down on the ground. Mingyue first asked in Japanese, which base are you from? And how many people are there in your base? He asked some basic information about the base. After asking, Mingyue stared, and the 8 of them lost their breath. A few people continued to walk, and Lingyu introduced to everyone that this Mount Fuji base is the largest base in the devil country, and there are 300,000 people living in it, but none of the devil's ruling prime ministers and important figures in the country are here, and the person just now does not know where it is. People like scientists don't know. These levels are too low to be touched. It would be nice for a few girls to feel the scenery here. The crowds are so eye-catching. Leng Mingyue wants to sneak into the base to investigate whether there is a science laboratory. After collecting all the girls into the Godhead space, Leng Mingyue accelerated to the base. From a distance, I saw 20 people guarding the gate of the base. Leng Mingyue didn't want to startle the snake. Turned back. Finding a place with the fewest people on the city wall, Han Mingyue came out to help. Leng Mingyue jumped onto the 20-meter high city wall with Mingyue in his arms. Mingyue disturbed the people above with his mental power, and Leng Mingyue swaggered down the city wall. The few people on the city wall recovered after fainting. Not aware of anything. Mingyue did not enter the space and had to be an interpreter for Leng Mingyue. The life of ordinary people in the base here is not good. Most of them are in ragged clothes and look disheveled. All very thin. Leng Mingyue walked around the base a few times with the bell. Don't look at the civilian areas. There are definitely no places where the soldiers live, and there are definitely no places where the soldiers live, and the better houses are the places where the supernatural beings live. There is a high probability that there is no place here. Turning inside, I saw a place with a high courtyard wall and someone guarding the door. I didn't know what was inside. It was getting dark at this time. Leng Mingyue decided to go in at night to have a look. Opposite is a small restaurant. Restaurants that can be opened in the safe zone usually have people behind them. If you are hungry, you can try. After entering the door, Lingyu asked Lingyu to order, and Lingyu whispered that there are only noodles here, nothing else. Udon noodles are one of the most Japanese noodles. Together with buckwheat noodles and green tea noodles, they are called the 3 major noodles of ghosts. Leng Mingyue was disappointed and couldn't order a udon noodle. Suzuki ordered a soba noodle. The taste is very average, not as delicious as Huang Kankan's cooking. A bowl of noodles requires a first-grade crystal nucleus, which is very expensive. The two of them were not in a hurry and ate slowly until the restaurant closed. When the two left the hotel, it was already 10 o'clock in the evening, almost ready to go. At this time, there was almost no one on the road. The two entered directly through the gate. The 4 gatekeepers fainted at the same time. After waking up, they shook their heads, thinking that they had not slept well. There are many rooms inside. Some yelling and screaming could also be heard. Well, this doesn't look like a laboratory. Now that it's all here, let's take a look. Go into the first room. A man was tied up inside, and a few little devils were on the tiger bench. It seems that this is torture. To extract a confession. I heard the devil asking in Chinese, say, where did your alloys come from? Fuck me. This is bullying his own people. Leng Mingyue, who was not polite, stepped forward and slapped each of them. This time he was merciless, and the skull was directly shattered. Loosen the bound man said, this brother, I'm also from Huaxia. I will rescue you. Unexpectedly, the rescued person said, it's useless, and I won't betray my motherland if you use this method. Leng Mingyue understood that this person thought he was a devil and was afraid of being cheated. Leng Mingyue gave the thumbs up. He took out a bowl of spiritual spring water and said, drink this. The man said, I'm not afraid of any torture, but am I afraid of your poison? I'm just thirsty. After speaking, he raised his neck and drank all the liquid water. Leng Mingyue took a look at Mingyue, and the two of them worked together to bring this person into the Godhead space. Let this person rest well, and then bring him back to the country. This is the hero of China. The two speeded up. There were still so many rooms, and when they opened the second room, there was a woman with her clothes stripped and whip marks all over her body. There are still a few devils whipping. Before Leng Mingyue could make a move, Mingyue glared. These ghosts seemed to have seen something terrifying, and they stretched out their hands to gouge out their own eyeballs, opened their mouths wide, unable to make a sound, and then grabbed their necks with their hands. Strangle yourself to death. The bell language untied the woman. Leng Mingyue handed over a suit of clothes and a bowl of spiritual spring water, and exited the room. Go to the next room. It turned out that a Maoxian countryman was imprisoned here. It seems that this is a special place for interrogation. Leng Mingyue didn't talk nonsense. He went up and shot a few devils to death. After the hairy Xianguoran was untied, he was directly stunned and entered the Godhead space. You should also save your own spiritual spring water. People from other countries will be fine if you save it. After tidying up this room and returning to the second room, Mingyue has already helped get dressed. After drinking the spiritual spring water, it is also included in the Godhead space. There are 40 rooms in total, and 32 people are locked up. A leading ghost was found in a large room in the middle. There is no nonsense. When you go in, you will be beaten first. Your arms and legs will be interrupted first, and then you will be asked by Mingyue. After chattering for a long time, Mingyue waved the devil to go. Mingyue said, this is a special place for interrogation. The car that transported the alloy disappeared before, and Kyoto thought it was killed by zombies. It turns out that the devils have been thinking about our alloy weapons for a long time. Of course, not only our country, Maoxian country, also a similar weapon was developed. That's it. It seems that the devils have been plotting against our country for a long time. Mingyue continued. This person is only in charge of interrogation. I don't know if there is a laboratory. Leng Mingyue sighed. Although he didn't find it, it was not in vain. 20 of the 32 people were Chinese, and they were all Chinese heroes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170. Coming out of the interrogation room, Leng Mingyue was very angry. Leng Mingyue did not catch up with the invasion of Huaxia decades ago, but now it is not acceptable to bully Huaxia nakedly. Continue to search with the ringtone. Walking to a heavily guarded place. There was a player here. Leng Mingyue jumped over the wall holding Leng Mingyue. There were also guards on the wall. Leng Mingyue used mental power to interfere. It is very big inside. It seems to be a warehouse. Open the first door. It is full of daily necessities. Rice, flour, grain, and oil. Although there is no shortage of Leng Mingyue, but all the income, not a grain of rice. Leng Mingyue was also a little surprised by the huge reserves, that 300,000 people could survive for a year. A total of 6 warehouses of rice, flour, grain, and oil have been collected, but the 7th warehouse is different. What is this in there? A stone. Leng Mingyue touched it and said, could it be something like an alloy? Leng Mingyue broke it off with his hands, and it's very strong. It must be more precious to be able to put it together with food in the Doomsday. So take it all away and put these stones next to Damimi. The next warehouse is filled with canned tobacco, wine and meat. Take it all away. Leng Mingyue felt like he was opening a blind box. He didn't know what the next warehouse was, but he took everything away, and there was a warehouse of salt in the back. The last warehouse was actually guarded at the door. It seems that this warehouse has the highest value. Leng Mingyue asked the gatekeepers to strangle their own necks. When I opened the warehouse door, I saw a transport plane, which was filled with crystal nuclei. Leng Mingyue didn't know whether it was shipped in or was going to be shipped away. The crystal nucleus is a good thing, and Leng Mingyue also likes the plane. Take away, take away. Finally, when it was almost dawn, all the warehouses were finally collected. After leaving the warehouse and entering the Godhead space with Leng Mingyue, I gained a lot and gave some more food and salt to the survivors in the Godhead space. This is also a universal celebration. Having a delicious meal in the space. The two of them didn't sleep all night, and they fell asleep beautifully. The Mount Fuji base exploded. When I came to pick up the supplies in the morning, I found that all the warehouses were empty. I asked the gatekeepers and the night guards on the surrounding walls. These people said that everything was normal and no one went in. There are too many things in the warehouse. Even if the door is opened and shipped out, it will definitely not be shipped overnight. The senior management of the base controlled all the people who were on duty at night for interrogation. If so many supplies are lost, 300,000 people will have nothing to eat for a year. And most of them will starve to death. Leng Mingyue didn't care how messy the base was. He slept until 4 PM and woke up hungry. After waking up, Huang Can took the stewed pork ribs, pig's trotters, and beef tendons. Served. Several people had a delicious meal. Leng Mingyue also took out a few bottles of wine to celebrate. Full of warmth and lust. Eat and drink enough. It's time to get down to business. Several girls lined up. Let Leng Mingyue order who will be the first. Leng Mingyue is afraid of offending the people behind him. If he chooses any one with an idea, he cut a nearby tree into signs and engraved the person's name on each sign. Leng Mingyue wants to flop. Turn to whoever is first. Leng Mingyue gave himself a like. I'm such a clever little ghost. Leng Mingyue opened the first one. Turned out to be the ringtone. There was a cheer from the bell. The war begins. None of the girls were Leng Mingyue's opponents, and those who were killed cried for their fathers and mothers. Nanan called her father directly. Blessings of Kiren. The battle lasted until 10 PM, and Leng Mingyue was hungry again. But the girls couldn't move anymore, so Leng Mingyue cooked for each of them by himself, and cooked a bowl of instant noodles. Of course, it was boiled with liquid water, and the women fell asleep after eating it. After eating the noodles boiled in liquid, Leng Mingyue was refreshed. Get ready to take a look at the divine space. It was already 12 o'clock in the evening when we left the Shenge space. Leng Mingyue found that there were more people patrolling the streets, and a lot of secret whistles were also added. Without the ring language, although I have strong mental power, but not as good as the ring language, and I don't understand ghost language. There is no way to torture him. Where did I go? Go to the place where civilians live. There are no guards here. Not even thieves come here. No one steals. It's very densely populated. The living conditions are also very bad. This is convenient for Leng Mingyue. Leng Mingyue is going to give himself space to increase the population. The little devil has trained well, and I believe it will definitely bring him the power of faith. Enter the Godhead space first, and then train slowly later. Leng Mingyue's spiritual power covers tens of meters. It can earn hundreds of people at once. From 12 o'clock in the evening until 6 o'clock in the morning, the sky is already bright, and I start to get up deliberately. Leng Mingyue gave up point after another night. Go back to the Godhead space. Eat and sleep point. Coming out tomorrow is the killing time, and the next step is to kill the supernatural beings. Chapter 171. Destroy the Mount Fuji base. Had a good meal in the Godhead space and told the girls that they had collected a lot of devils and civilians, and there were still a lot of supernatural beings left, and there might be a big battle. When they went out later unexpectedly, all the girls followed him out. Point. The girls have also trained under Doomsday for many years, and it is not a big problem to go out with them, but Linga's ability level is too low. Only level 4. Ling is pregnant and has difficulty moving, so the second daughter stays in the divine space. Leng Mingyue took a few girls out of the Godhead space. Point. For my race, its heart must be different. Point. Several people appeared in the civilian area, where a large number of people decreased overnight, and several teams of supernatural beings were patrolling. Mingyue first controlled a team of people with abilities, and let these people attack the other team. Civilian riots erupted. Point. A large number of survivors were concentrated in an open space, which was more convenient for Leng Mingyue, who can Nanan to attack in secret, and now no one knows who the enemy is. While panicking, Leng Mingyue brought the remaining tens of thousands of survivors into the Godhead space. Point. At the Mount Fuji base, all 230,000 ordinary survivors are included in the Godhead space, and there are about 10,000 to 20,000 supernatural beings. There are still many people who are not at the base and may have gone out to find supplies. There seems to be a huge disparity between 4 people and more than 10,000 supernatural beings. Now it's mainly about the bell language, using mental power to control some people and causing confusion to the survivors. Leng Mingyue looked at the Godhead space, and there was a giant hippopotamus that could fight in it. It was begin size, but its attack power was too low to be effective. Point. There is also Kian, the 8th level zombie turned back into a human, and has never been released. Now it's time to experiment. Point. Seeing that the giant python has fallen into deep cultivation, it is better not to disturb him. Point. Although Giant Eagle and Moang are not strong in attack power, they are at least at the peak level of 7th level, so they should be able to help. Point. I looked at Binkilin again. Forget it or not to mess with the boss. Big Mimi and Little Sunflower are both right-hand men, but they are both in deep evolution. Leng Mingyue found that he still had too few helpers. I didn't bring Rhubarb with me this time, which is a pity. This dog should be allowed to fight forward. Point. Few people were killed in the riot. Leng Mingyue summoned Kian, Moang and Giant Eagle, and said, "These are enemies. We will destroy them later." Kian said, "Brother Leng has been looking for me for so long. Let me work as soon as he comes out. If you can do it, I want to drink a bowl of your blood." Leng Mingyue said, "If I'm injured, I will drink it for you. If I'm not injured, I will give you a bowl of spiritual spring water at most, but it depends on how many people you kill. If you kill less than me, then there is no reward." Just finished speaking, Kian turned into a black shadow and rushed out. Leng Mingyue called everyone to do it. Point. Mingyue threw out the big willow tree. The big willow tree used to kill zombies, but I didn't expect that killing people would be even better. The branches entangle people and suck them into mummy instantly. Point. The little devil thought that the mutated plants were invading, so he organized everyone to attack the big willow tree. Ma Wang rushed into the crowd, knocked several people into the air, and kicked a little devil away with one kick. The giant eagle flapped its wings and all the melee fighters in front of it were blown to the back. The team was in chaos. Leng Mingyue looked at Kian. His hands were like sharp knives, directly cutting the little devil's neck. The speed is faster than the average speed ability user. Nanan was making soy sauce around, and when Huang Can stretched out her hand, more than 20 ginkgo leaves swayed into the little devil. Point. Seeing that everyone was safe, Leng Mingyue also made a move, and with a wave of his hand, a sea of flames over 50 meters appeared among the little devils. Master leveling is fast. There is a large area of magic. Point. The little devil was out of luck. He fought for a long time without knowing who and where the real enemy was. In the eyes of the little devil, there is only a big willow tree, a horse, an eagle, and the former comrades in arms who suddenly killed each other. I don't know where the leaves came from. There are also seas of flames appearing in the crowd. An hour later the little devil had a breakdown. A few leaders got together and discussed about abandoning the base and preparing to run away. It happened that Leng Mingyue found out and troubled you one by one, so they got together. With a wave of Leng Mingyue's hand, several base executives, plus their bodyguards, were all covered in flames. After a few breaths, these people turned into coke. When these supernatural beings saw that the leaders were all dead, they scattered and fled. Under the pursuit of several people and pets for another hour, only a few ran away quickly and escaped, and the vast majority of people with supernatural powers were killed in the Mount Fuji base. The girls were tired, and the tragic scene was not suitable for girls, so they brought the girls back to the Godhead space. The blood flowed like a river. The big willow tree didn't want to leave, and took root in the blood river. Leng Mingyue could feel the breath of the big willow tree soaring, so he couldn't reach level 9 sooner than himself. The big willow tree is not closed, and the giant eagle and horse king are included in the Godhead space. Leng Mingyue turned up on base. As a base that has been established for so many years in the apocalypse, there are still many good things. There are thousands of cars of all kinds and hundreds of motorcycles in the parking lot. Although there is not much gasoline now, the boss can still get some and put these cars into the Godhead space. I saw another good thing, a solar power station, and carefully put all the equipment of the power station into the Godhead space. I also found a small warehouse, which contained uniforms and military boots for the little devils. Clothes are more precious after the apocalypse, so I took them away. One after another, they collected some miscellaneous things, none of which were of high value about their point. Seeing the big willow tree also absorbed all the blood. The big willow tree is also included in the Godhead space. I looked at the base again, cast the soil ability, and turned it over again. All important buildings were destroyed, and the city walls collapsed. Clap your hands, this place is finally cleaned up and ready for the next base. Chapter 172 First arrival at Osaka base. Leng Mingyue insisted on not sleeping for a day and a night, found a hidden place, entered the space of the Godhead, and saw Kian was sullen. Leng Mingyue was not injured, had no blood to drink, and had no choice but to give Kian a bowl of liquid water. When Kian drank it, the taste was not bad, and she seemed to be able to evolve her own body. Regardless of Kian, she took a shower, took a simple bite of food and fell asleep. The few girls didn't bother Leng Mingyue because the battle was exhausting and they were all absorbing the crystal core. Upgrade ASAP. Can't pull too much level with Leng Mingyue. Leng Mingyue had a good night's sleep and woke up with braised pork, donkey stew, mutton with spring onions, beef stewed with potatoes, all meat dishes. The fragrance seduces Leng Mingyue awake. After simply washing up and driving, the cooking skills are getting better and better. It's really fragrant. After the meal, there must be exercise after the meal. Whoever is caught this time counts. The brawl begins. Only Ling Guyan is not afraid. Leng Mingyue is not afraid to be violent when she is pregnant. Huang Can also wants to break arms with Leng Mingyue. The last one who was killed threw away his armor and armor. Leng Mingyue drank a bowl of spiritual spring water and left the divine space. There is still business to do, and I haven't found Professor Wang yet. Open the map given by the Kyoto base and set the target on the second largest base, the Osaka base. More than 400 kilometers. I don't want to waste time on the road, so I fly directly on the giant eagle. It took just over 2 hours. In the past 2 days, I learned some ghost language from Ling Yu and Huang Can. Strong mental strength. Learning is still very fast. The old way. Go to investigate first. This time it is the gate of the base. It turned out to be the same as in Huaxia, where you have to pay 20 katas of grain to enter. Leng Mingyue handed in food and entered the Osaka base. I found a kid who seemed to be quite clever, gave a pack of biscuits, and asked about the basic situation of the base, which was similar to the data given. The Osaka base has 250,000 people. Then look for a laboratory. Not long after I left, I saw 2 rows of houses with small pink lamps inside. There are several young girls sitting in front of each house. His face is as white as flour, so it looks a little scary. This must be a geisha. Before the end of the day, I often watched Teacher Kang's works. This time, it seems that I can watch the real version up close. I was careless at the base of Mount Fuji, but I didn't find a street with small pink lanterns this time. I can't let it go, so I have to watch it carefully. Several of my own women also boycotted themselves, which made these geisha cheaper. I took the biggest step and walked in, and 2 girls came up to say hello. Brought to a not too big room. There are also drinks here. Leng Mingyue has only learned spoken Chinese and does not know Chinese characters, but Chinese characters are similar, so he probably ordered a few. Called 2 geisha over. Unexpectedly these only dance, no other services, and I couldn't appreciate the dance. Leng Mingyue was about to leave when a man who looked like a bastard came in. He either didn't have an introduction or wanted to add a crystal nucleus. The bastard also said that it was the first time for some newcomers in the shop. It is a little expensive. 25 level crystal nuclei are required. Good guy. How many people can this price buy? But in order to win glory for the country, I gave the old bastard 25 level crystal nuclei. After a short time, a few of them looked pretty good, but they were only 1 level worse than Huang Can or Mingyue. The bastard politely said a few words and left. Leng Mingyue looked at the pale face and asked several people to wash their faces. It looks okay. After washing off the white face while drinking sake, I watched the girls dance. The wine is a little bad, and the dance is so-so. Leng Mingyue began to writhe in the divine space. Finally found the umbrella collected in Yida Mall. For those who don't know their background, it's better to be on the safe side. This room is the Kang when you enter the door, and the battlefield is when you remove the table. When dealing with the foreign enemy Leng Mingyue, the old bastard listened outside the door, thinking that the geisha were just pretending. How could ordinary people be so strong? Before the Doomsday, I read the news and asked why celebrities go to prostitution, even if they have good-looking wives. The interview revealed that it is because some embarrassing requests can be met by prostitution. Leng Mingyue was having fun, and 6 hours later, Leng Mingyue left the house with a relaxed face. Time to get down to business. The scene the old bastard saw when he entered the house was terrified. Chapter 173. Searching for the Osaka base. Leng Mingyue had a great time walking on the street, refreshed. After winning glory for the country, it's time to get down to business. Walking on the street, wherever the guards are strict, try to find a way to go in and have a look. Finally found a well-guarded place. Without calling Mingyue, I found a place where there were only a few people on the wall, and Leng Mingyue directly brought them into the Godhead space. Go over the wall and see many people in white coats inside. It seems that this is a laboratory. I hope Professor Wang is here. Leng Mingyue remotely brought a staff member into the Godhead space, took off his clothes, and put them on by himself. I found a pair of glasses, put on a mask, and entered the experimental building swaggeringly. It seems that the experiment here is not a weapon. There are operating tables in many rooms, and some people are tied up. The further you go, you can hear some roaring sounds. Seeing that there was no one in a laboratory, Leng Mingyue opened the door and went in. There were 2 beds inside, a zombie tied to one side, and a man on the other side. Half of the man had turned into a zombie. This is human experimentation. Devils destroy humanity. Exit the lab and continue walking inside. There are various styles in each room. There are men and women. Walking to the innermost part, I heard a person inside saying, "This USB flash drive is all our experimental data. You can take it and send it to it for storage. The mount there are still mutated animals and plants, so we have to back up." After this person came out, Leng Mingyue followed from a distance. Although he was useless, it was the result of their research for so many years. Take it back and ask if the Kyoto base is useful. After leaving the experimental base, Leng Mingyue changed his clothes. He didn't know where this person was going to go. He walked into the base and saw dense guards from a distance. I couldn't wait any longer. I was afraid of losing track when this man was about to go in, so I quickly stepped forward and grabbed the man's neck. Leng Mingyue pinched his neck and threw him into the Godhead space before he could use his ability in the middle of the 7th level. Leng Mingyue felt that the laboratory must be destroyed, but now he must continue to search for Professor Wang or the warehouse of the base. Although I have no shortage of things, it is cool to collect devils in the warehouse. After searching all night, I couldn't find it. It's really well hidden. Leng Mingyue found a hidden place to enter the divine space, had a good meal, and slept. There are also a lot of things to deal with in the space. I wake up the devils who have been paid before and control them in a small range of activities. Each person is only given a little water and starved for 2 days. Use consciousness to plant food in the space. In the future, when the population of Godhead space will increase, they will be allowed to grow it by themselves. In the past, the villagers were short of something, prayed for something, and came in to give everyone some supplies. Because the devil's warehouse was collected, the types of supplies were also enriched. Everything is packed. This time you can't search around in the base. Leng Mingyue has left the Godhead space and is going to go directly to the base's senior management. After controlling the high level of the base, let's ask where the laboratory is and where the base warehouse is. Leng Mingyue came to the heavily guarded house that he saw yesterday. According to his own calculations, the base may grow here. He called out Mingyue again and directly controlled the guard with his mental power. The two walked in quickly, and when they met the guard, they controlled it. The two walked by, and the guard didn't know it. I caught a person who looked like a small official and asked, and it turned out that this was the residence of the base chief. After asking where he lived, the two went straight over. There are 4 guards at the door. The base chief is so afraid of death that there are so many guards. Leng Mingyue pushed open the door and saw the magnificent decoration inside the room, which the base chief really enjoys. There was no one in the living room, so I found the bedroom again, kicked the door open, and saw an old man and 2 beauties on the bed. Without shame or shame, idiot. Before he could say the second sentence, Mingyue controlled the 2 beauties to scratch and bite the base chief. Leng Mingyue moved a stool and sat in front of the old man. The base chief of the devil knew that he had encountered a hard problem today. I'll ask you to answer, and I'll break your leg if I talk nonsense. The frightened base commander nodded. Leng Mingyue said, did you catch a professor of alloys from Huaksha? The base chief said, I've heard about this, but it wasn't caught by our base, and our base doesn't have a weapons laboratory. We only have a zombie humanization laboratory here. Mingyue nodded. It seemed that the old man was not lying. Leng Mingyue continued to ask, do you know which base captured it? The devil said, our base and the base are in a competitive relationship. I don't know where exactly. Leng Mingyue asked again, then where are your warehouses and living supplies? The devil hesitated and said, there is an underground base behind this house, and all the supplies are there. Leng Mingyue suddenly realized that they searched all night, but couldn't find them. It turned out that they were put underground. Here I come. All kinds of supplies, all in my ball. Chapter 174. Searching the Osaka base. The devil took Leng Mingyue and Ling Yu out of the house. There was an inconspicuous small door at the back, and the 3 of them went down. After opening the door, there were still guards inside, and before the devil could speak, a few guards fell to the ground and died. Mingyue shot is convenient. A very large area has been hollowed out underground, and there are also warehouses one by one inside. The first few warehouses here are full of grain, which is hard currency, and all of them are collected. There is a warehouse that stores crystal nuclei. This warehouse is much smaller, but there are still a lot of crystal nuclei, all of which come into my bowl. There are actually 2 storerooms at the back. The more precious they are, what can be placed behind the crystal nucleus. Opening the back warehouse, there are piles of gold and yuan. These banknotes will definitely be useless after the end of the day. It is estimated that they can only be kept for burning. Behind the banknotes are neat stacks of silver bars, silver coins, and silver ingots, followed by 2 stacks of gold bars. There are no banknotes, but gold and silver will definitely be useful after the end of the day. Although the value may not be as high as before, many people still like it and take them all away. There is also the last warehouse. After opening the door, there are several piles of gold in front of it. Leng Mingyue waved his hand into the space, and there were dozens of glass display cases behind, all of which were diamond jewelry or jade bracelets, which were the best if they could be received here. Put dozens of display cabinets into the Godhead space, and you can use these things to coax a few beauties. Girls like shiny things. There is nothing valuable in this base, and there are only survivors left. Since there is no Professor Wang, let's destroy this base. The head of the base was useless. Leng Mingyue waved his hand, and the devil's body was on fire, and it was burnt to coke within a few breaths. Leng Mingyue came directly to the civilian area with Mingyue, and with the help of Mingyue, he could collect people within a few kilometers at once. A few hours later, all the survivors were collected into the Godhead space point. Many people change places in their sleep, and when they wake up, they find that they have come to a place where birds are singing and flowers are fragrant. Both Leng Mingyue and Mingyue were a little tired, so they returned to the Godhead space point. Wang Can has already prepared meals. After eating, I slept soundly. The storage room and the survivors were exhausted. The Osaka base is in total chaos. The base chief is missing. The survivors and civilians are all gone, and even the tents where they lived are gone. The most important thing is that all the supplies in the warehouse are gone. The news that the Mount Fuji base was destroyed before has reached here. The base executives had a bad feeling and began to escape, taking away only their cronies. A large number of low-level supernatural beings knew nothing about it, only knowing that the base's supplies had been looted. Leng Mingyue had a good night's sleep, got up and had a meal, and then led everyone out of the Godhead space, and it was time to hunt again. The big willow tree rushed directly to the center of the base, took root in the ground, and its branches and leaves grew wildly. When it saw people, it rolled up and sucked them dry. Moang and Yuang don't have the ability to attack in a large area, so they can only kill whoever wants to run in the periphery. Mingyue controlled 30 people, 10 people with defensive abilities and 20 people with elemental abilities. Mingyue is stronger than a battle alone. These 30 main forces rebelled directly and began to attack their own people. Make the chaotic base even more chaotic at once. Leng Mingyue also released his abilities, and a sea of flames appeared in the dense crowd. Although there were many supernatural beings in the base, no one knew who the enemy was. 2 hours later, the base became very quiet, except for Leng Mingyue. There are no living people. After bringing a few girls into the Godhead space, the big willow tree is still absorbing human blood. Leng Mingyue walked around a few times, looking for valuable things. Some cars, some hotel supplies, and some of the little devil's houses were made of wood, and the houses could be taken away. Leng Mingyue also took some houses. The big willow tree has almost absorbed it. After being included in the Godhead space, it began to destroy the base. The wooden house was set on fire, and the cement house was knocked down with the soil ability. After the base did not have a complete piece of land, he left the base and found a hidden place to sneak into the divine space. Chapter 175 Obtaining a magical stone. Entering the Godhead space, rested for a day, and bullied the next few girls. Looking at the map in his hand, the third largest base is in Okinawa. If Professor Wang cannot be found, and dozens of small bases are troubled, it will waste a lot of time. After a good rest, I left the Godhead space, and the giant eagle took off with me. According to the news, the Okinawa base has a population of 200,000. The easiest way to get to the base is to grab the base manager directly, which is much faster than looking for it yourself. But Leng Mingyue felt a little different when he arrived at the Okinawa base. There are very few supernatural beings, and these supernatural beings are generally 1 to 2 level, low level supernatural beings. Hundreds of thousands of civilians are not a lot at all. I found someone to ask where the base chief worked, but there was no guard at the gate of the yard. After entering, there was no one around, because they got the news in advance and ran away. Leng Mingyue was depressed when suddenly a level 6 supernatural person came in, looking for something in a hurry. After finally meeting a high-ranking person, he quickly walked up to him and broke the person's leg with one kick. The devil screamed and fell to the ground. In terms of interrogation, he is still good at bell language, so he called out bell language. Tell Mingyue about the situation, and let Mingyue ask to see where they all went. Are there any alloy labs in less than 5 minutes? All the information was asked. A day ago, everyone here was notified to evacuate, and the 2 largest bases had already fallen. There is no time to transfer civilians here. Only the supernatural beings and some supplies were transferred. Leng Mingyue was very heartbroken when he heard that the supplies had been transferred away. He knew he would not be sleeping, so he hurried over because he lost so many supplies. The following words made Leng Mingyue happy. There is an alloy laboratory here, and they were also transferred together. Leng Mingyue slapped his thigh. Although he was transferred, he still had some news. Mingyue said. He said that the base has been transferred to Kyoto. Kyoto? Leng Mingyue took out the ghost map and started looking for it. It took 10 minutes to find it. It was about 50 kilometers away from Dabun, and they flew more than 1,000 kilometers to Dabun. When they came, they actually went to Kyoto Point. Of course, this is the name of the ghost country called Kyoto Point for the time being. This 6th level ability user was not killed. Knock out the income Godhead space point. Now that they have come, these hundreds of thousands of civilians must not be let go, and now they have not resisted. The two began to blatantly start collecting survivors, even the items around them, even tents, pots, and pans. Collect them all together. Sometimes the land can be collected together if you are not careful. Not an inch of grass is left. Point. Sometimes people with supernatural powers came to question him, but the bell was left blank, and they followed him as bodyguards. Find the warehouse of the base. The warehouse, like the crystal nucleus, is gone, and there is still a lot of food, so it should be rushed. There is no way to take it all away. It happened to be cheap for myself. Although there is no crystal nucleus, but gold, silver, jewelry, diamonds. There are 2 warehouses full. Point. Don't want it for nothing. Just take it away with the warehouse. Point. The power of this base is actually nuclear power generation. Leng Mingyue hesitated. This thing has to be included in the Godhead space. If it explodes, will it affect him? I don't know how to do this myself. In the end, I gave up, fearing that I would burn myself on fire. Point. A few hours later, the base was as clean as if it had been bulldozed, and even some utility poles were taken in. Point. After the base could not see a living person, Leng Mingyue clapped his hands. A fire was set on the nuclear power plant, and the giant eagle took off. Point. Half an hour after flying out, there was a loud noise on Okinawa Island behind, and a mushroom cloud rushed into the sky. Point. The giant eagle flew more than 1,000 kilometers to come here with itself. I have to fly more than 1,000 kilometers to go back. Alas, fortunately there is a giant eagle, otherwise I would be exhausted by just running. Point. Kyoto is only about 50 kilometers away from Osaka. Point. It was already night after flying here. Leng Mingyue drank a bowl of Linquan water and saw some fires in the mountains north of the city. It seemed that the base was here. Point. I got off the giant eagle, approached it secretly, and moved here in a hurry, without even a fence. It should be someone with earth type abilities, so I only built a fence about 2 meters high. There is still a long place behind without walls. Leng Mingyue sneaked around the back and sneaked into the base. Point. There are many tents on the base. There are no buildings. This makes it easier to find. There was a tent with a lot of equipment and a lot of people who looked like scientists. Leng Mingyue didn't know if these things were useful, so he put the tent, the people inside, and the instruments into the Godhead space. Point. The base was very chaotic. Not many people paid attention here, but a few people saw it, and the tent suddenly disappeared. Walking over to check, Leng Mingyue stepped forward and crushed the necks of several people. Point. After turning around for a while, I saw that all the valuable things were stored in the Godhead space, and there was a big tent in the middle. Probably the leaders of the base were inside. Point. In order not to cause too much noise to affect his asking for news, he still called out the bell. Point. There were 20 men standing guard around the tent. In an instant, the ringing space, the two walked into the tent. Point. The little devil inside saw that people came in without notification and was about to get angry when Leng Mingyue restrained him. Point. Ask the message or in language professional. Leng Mingyue turned around in the tent. The tent is huge. The crystal nuclei packed in sacks at the back. Leng Mingyue is happy, transported here from Okinawa, but still can't escape my palm. All of them are included in the Godhead space. Point. When I looked up, I saw a stone hanging on the wall. This stone is all too familiar to me. The magic stone. Zuchuan gave himself the first piece, got the second piece at Shizu Mountain, changed to the third piece at the Helen Mountain base, and got the fourth piece from the crab at the Dalian base. Here actually got the fifth piece. Point. This stone seems to have fate with me. Didn't expect to get a piece here. Put the magical stone into the Godhead space. Point. Leng Mingyue's questioning here is basically over. They sent people to arrest Professor Wang, but the plane didn't come back. Point. Fuck me. Point. Twists and turns. The plane didn't come back. What do you mean? Leng Mingyue said. After the plane took off, it communicated to the base that it had been captured, but after 20 minutes the plane began to change direction, and the plane was hijacked, or someone among the little devils had mutinied. Leng Mingyue scratched his head. Saving people was a simple matter, but now it is so complicated. Leng Mingyue asked, any clues? Leng Mingyue said, the pilot was talking to the base when he was hijacked. The base heard San Francisco, and the signal was cut off. Leng Mingyue said, it seems that we have to make a phone call with the deputy base chief, which is a bit different from what was expected. Is there any other valuable information? Leng Mingyue said, their emperor and prime minister are both underground in the shrine. It's hidden there. Okay, after finishing here, go to the shrine to have a look, burn it for them, and let them pay homage, because this is a temporary base. Many people do not have tents and are crowded together. Leng Mingyue threw a big willow tree and surrounded the base with fire directly so that no one could run away. Leng Mingyue released flames towards the crowded place. These people who fled thousands of miles gave their lives thousands of miles away, but still did not escape death. An hour later, the battle was resolved. There was still some food, but it was all burned without paying attention. Forget it. Leng Mingyue was a little hungry and a little tired, but he couldn't rest now because he was afraid that the emperor and prime minister would run away during the rest. Take the giant eagle and set off for Tokyo. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.